Complicated, some don't vibe at all. She's kinda small, have sagging tits. I heard she fucked a guy to get in or throw shade. It's okay. People stare at what I wear, get upset when I gain weight. Lame as trust, pink bunny eggs, pass out insincere excuses. What am I gonna do with those pass out insincere excuses? Oh, I can't sit here and pretend that it's fine in the end. No, my life is for me, gotta live for me. Oh, I can't sit here and pretend I did that way before. I can't ignore. People stare at what I wear, get upset when I gain weight. Lame as trust, pink bunny eggs, pass out insincere excuses. What am I gonna do with those? Say, what am I gonna do with those insincere excuses? Insincere excuses. Insincere excuses. Hate me.
Today is the beginning of the end and the start of a new beginning. Time has come to refine yourself and let go of the demons in your head that have held you in captivity for so long. It's time to flip the page and prove them wrong. It's time for rebirth. Yeah, time's up to say goodbye to all the haters, doubters, and non-believers trying to bring you down. In the blink of an eye, you'll realize that there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on. Finally, you will be free to live a life you love living instead of the life you think other people want you to live. Remember, you are the highest authority when it comes to knowing what you want and what you love. So stop trading yourself for the approval from others. Ladies and gentlemen, weirdos and geeks, please repeat after me. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a I don't give a fuck. 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 It's time to start doing the right thing. So trust your instinct, stop listening to others, and own your decisions. People will always tell you what to do, opinion how to live. So let's create things what matters most to you. You'll be glad you did. Now start claiming your time and your mental well-being by saying no more. No more. Say it loudly and proudly. In other words, fuck you. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we are live again. Good to see everybody. Good to see you. Good times had by all. Not really sure why my gadget down there changed, but that's okay. How is everybody tonight? I understand that Jake is over with. We have two Jakes, the Jake and Jake show over on Jake Var's channel, VO Pod. He is, they've got everything going on over there. So it's going to be interesting. To see how that show goes. Unfortunately, I think they are just now going live, and we'll see how that affects us tonight. It's Wednesday nights are always kind of iffy anyway, and that's okay. Good to see everybody out in the chat. Give me just 1 minute and I'll call it out. See who we've got out there being cool tonight. Looks like we've got Effing Epic was first in chat tonight. That's awesome. Looks like we've also got 13 in the house. We've got John Deadman back again tonight. Carney's Ride, good to see you. Corrupt Admin, good to see you again. Old Joe, welcome back, sir. Welcome back. It's good to have you up on this, up on the panel stage the other night. And Togashi is here. We'll have other people wandering in as we get moving along here. But yeah, it's going to be a good night. There's so many different things going on out there. I'm keeping it low key tonight, guy. I got to be honest, guys. While I think that it's going to be a great show, it is going to be a low key show tonight. The reality is I have been all over the place debating and kind of beating on people and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about some of the debates and we'll actually do a little bit of debate review. Things I feel like that I could have done better. Things I feel like other people could have done better. And we'll just kind of go through that. And Ticky Tack, actually, if you want to come up, a little later, you will be perfect to go back and forth with on this. I don't really have a lot tonight, guys. Tomorrow, obviously, we'll be doing the day shift. And on the day shift tomorrow, I've had a kind of a request put in to do a little, and which I agree with this. We've kind of had a request put in to do something on how hard it is for young people to get started. And I mean, get that first job, get the first real job, and why it seems like that millennial and newer additions to the job force are being passed over oftentimes because maybe the impression is that they're just not going to do the job. They're not going to show up. They're not going to get the work done. They're not going to put the work in. And so whether or not that's true, I don't know, but we're going to talk about it tomorrow. I'm going to do some research tomorrow morning and put together a little something. And I've got some other stuff to talk about tomorrow too. But tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the debates that I have been in over the last couple of weeks and how I handled them, how I could have done better, and and where I feel like that the debates were not lost, but they didn't go where they should have gone. And I'm gonna start out with the other night. I was watching Chris Lestrange, and I didn't watch a lot of it, and I couldn't see everything. But Chris Lestrange was debating the Furby, and we're going to get into that because there was a couple of things that Chris allowed, and there's some tactics that the Furby uses every single time they debate that you need to cut it off at the knees and really really push on these things, right? So it's not something that is it's really not something hard, but I see this over and over again with the Furby, and I really can't understand how people let it get away. I mean, it literally committed almost every fallacious argument that you could: appeal to authority, genetic fallacy, and basically just if you could commit a fallacy, the Furby committed it, right? And the problem is, and this is an interesting thing. I like Chris Lestrange a lot. Hopefully he's in the audience tonight. Maybe we'll get him up here. I would love to get Chris up here and talk to him about it. But for some reason, it seems like maybe the blood sport debater that can just kind of argue pretty well or use, kind of use some logic. It seems like that they're really not able to call out the fallacies, right? Like Cleaner 409 last week when we were doing the debate over when I brought up that I feel like the United States should be isolationist and not interventionalist, and so I called out Corinth's economic bullshit early on, right? Because it doesn't matter economically. We can still trade and be isolationist, right? We were talking about not being the world police, and he wanted to make an economic argument, and that was okay. But I went down that path. I called him on it and said, no, look, let's get back to the actual argument. And that's how that kind of went. And he knew what he was doing. I knew what he was doing. It was plain to see for anyone that watched. When Cleaner 409 debated Teriak, same topic, except more of the world police and militaristic, he allowed Teriak to run a red herring where basically he just kept feeding into Teriak's line of reasoning of what if they put nukes in Mexico? What if they do this? What if they do that? Which hey, Cleaner really should have said, hey, sure, whatever, dude. I'm not going to commit to your red herring. I'm not going to commit. We don't need to commit any time to this because it's not what we're talking about. And the real argument is X. And it was interesting. It's interesting for me to watch these debates. I'm not a particularly. I don't feel like I'm a particularly good debater at all. I mean, I think if anything, I'm probably below average. But these are low tier arguments and fallacies, and especially what the Furby did the other night with the 2A stuff. What the Furby did the other night was basically all of the fallacies that you could think of. Circular. It's like, all right. And most of his actual arguments were several fallacies piled into one, right? First, by maintaining that, for example, the self-deletion, the whole, and it went on way too long, and I didn't even stop it. I kind of fed into it myself a little bit, but I ignored that because I won't interact with it. There's no point in it. And if I could have just shut everybody else up and told them, hey, don't react to it, then that would have been great. Unfortunately, that's not really what happened. It was everyone was biting, and it honestly it made the Furby's position look stronger than it truly was. And the and every time I would call him out on when I would call a Furby out for the appeal to authority, he would, they would he would basically say, well, this is the authority, but it's not. It's not the authority. There's nobody has put the researcher in a position of authority to say that these things are true, and therefore I'm the authority, and therefore you must follow what I'm saying. And there's no way to make that argument stick. There's no way to land that plane. And it was really bad. It was really ticky tack. The sooner you can get up here, the better, because I really need to kind of have a back and forth on this. But it's really bad form, and we see that more and more now. The whole the argument of the self-deletion was easily defeated, to be honest, had Chris simply said, well, how many of those self-deletions are former military? Well, probably a large chunk of them. So they're just using what's familiar to them, right? So now it's an argument of familiarity rather than it's this tool that they would, somehow they wouldn't if they couldn't, right? It just happens to be the closest thing at hand. It could have been anything. There's a lot of different ways to defeat those arguments. The Furby is really bad. The Furby is really bad faith. Really, it's complete. Most of the arguments are fallacious, and most of them are easily defeated. I've got 6 different reports here saying this, that. Well, okay, cool. That's Gish Gallop. I can't read 5 reports in the time that in the 15 minutes we're going to be on the air. Chris apparently was not provided with those reports to read and study before the debate. And if you had, and so you can't, this is just bad. It's look, literally every, I say every fallacy. I'm sure that there's a couple but all of the major fallacies, right? Straw man Chris's argument multiple times. Chris did not call him out, or the Furby out. Appeal to authority all the time. Literally almost every other word out of its mouth was an appeal to authority. There was no authority. Gish Gallop, all of the nonsense. Well, I've got this report, I've got that report, and he was just shoving all of this stuff in front of Chris, and then he would say, and then the Furby would say, well, you still haven't answered any of my arguments. Well, but you haven't made an argument. You've just made a statement that I don't know to be true or untrue. So, the Gish Gallop was bad. Circular argument, again, once again, with the reasoning behind the self-deletion and the various murder rates and things like that. Well, it is this because of that. Oh, look, we have Ticky Tack in the house. Do you agree with me, Ticky Tack, that the Furby in the debate the other night basically committed every possible logical fallacy?
Yeah, but that's quite common. The one thing that I hate the most is what he'll do is he'll start out a statement with a straw man claim and then build support off of that. And I think one of the most funny straw man claims was that neighbors are afraid of neighbors who have guns. And it's just like, what? It's like...
Well, that's part of his red herring element too. The Furby loves to say something kind of, but not 100% inflammatory, so that it's bait. You rise to it. You swallow that red herring and you just chase it until the end of time.
Well, the
And
issue is that it's difficult to fight because of you start with the red herring, and then you'll build a bunch of like claims off of it. So
Mhm.
now it almost kind of turns into a gish gallop because now you have 2 or 3 claims that you
well,
have to
he
argue.
starts with a Gish Gallop because he'll say, "I have all of these studies that prove what I'm saying," but you've not provided the studies. It's a it's a what did they argue or what was the debate the other night? 2 hours, 3 hours. You're not going to read a 500-page report in 3 hours.
Well, that's also why it's vitally important when you walk into debates. You exchange studies like 24 hours beforehand.
Exactly. And again, and I'm not guys, I am not harping on Chris. I really hope he comes up because I'd really like to talk to him about this. I'm picking on this because this is fresh in my mind, but I've been watching this all week. And what the biggest thing is I don't understand why, when you're debating somebody, why you're not calling it out, right? I called out the red herrings. I call out the Gish Gallop. I didn't actually call out the Gish Gallop. In that case, I felt it was a stronger claim when the Furby tried to introduce his studies of just that it was an appeal to authority, and it kept saying, "Well, this is the authority," and I'm like, "But it's not the authority. It is absolutely not the authority."
You
What do you
really
mean,
got him. You really got him when you brought up the gun transfer form, and
Yeah,
Furby was just kind
lost
of
his
like, "Oh,
mind.
well." It's like, yeah, there's certain licenses that people need and stuff, and it's like we're not talking about licenses here.
Yeah,
We're
right, yeah.
talking about transfer form,
Right,
transaction form.
right, yeah, and well, I don't know every single little thing, and I'm like, well, you don't know anything then, because you're literally saying that you know that you've studied this, that you've made an extensive study of this, and you are the expert that we should
Uh,
believe, and yet you did not, you know nothing.
Here's another common tactic, which is it, it's such a weasel, but it's whenever somebody makes a claim of somebody is 5 times more likely to be
Mm,
caught in X in if this scenario is true.
mhm,
And the issue is with this is like, let's say for example that if there's children in the home,
mm,
it's you're 5 times more likely to have an accident with that gun. Well, what if the original likelihood it was only like 0.01% of chance? Your chances is raised to 0.05%. So it's like just because somebody says it's 5 times, 10 times, 100 times more likely, if the percentage is low to begin with, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
It,
I mean that dodges between being a loaded question or an appeal to an authority with yourself as the authority, which you can't make that claim. You're making, it's just a bullshit claim. My problem with what I heard in the debate was Chris never really called. I see. I wouldn't have engaged with a Furby, and I tried really hard not to engage with on specific things. You just can't help it. Sometimes you get caught up in it. Everybody else is doing it, but I really just wanted to call it on the fallacies. Like, this is a bad argument. You have no argument. Like, you were not even making an argument. You were just prophetalizing. Pardon me, I can't talk tonight. And so why am I listening to you?
yeah,
Um, and it drives the Furby crazy
yeah,
when people do that, right? Like, it's because it knows that its arguments are fallacious.
yeah,
It's not stupid. Like the Furby is not stupid. The Furby knows it's lying. It knows that the arguments are fallacious. It knows it's arguing in bad faith, but it doesn't care. It only cares when you start catching it and start calling it, and
yeah.
then it loses its mind. And I was actually really surprised it didn't rage quit, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, here's also another really big issue when it comes to these like libtards or like libtard Canadians like Mel. So they always try to conflate the statistics of like and list it as America in general. Like gun crime is going up in America in general when it's like Well, we have a population of 350 million people. It's like we're a huge ass fucking country. It's like each state can essentially be its own country compared to the rest of the world. So when you really break down like the state by state statistics, you get a completely different image of like how policies actually work and function.
Well, the obviously it had there was no way the Furby wanted to engage with my claim that, for example, the murder rate in the UK spiked and is still high because the so they outlawed guns, and then the muggings with what was it? Knives and batons became more popular.
Yeah.
Because nobody could defend themselves. They just know that nobody has anything, right? And so they'll just mug you. And then they don't call it a felony over there, but it's a very high crime. They made it a very high crime to rob someone with a weapon of any kind, whether it's a baton, a knife, or whatever. And so all of the muggings became, people use a knife, and most of the time they're going to kill you because they don't want to be identified. And it's been that way for like the past 15 or 20 years now, because since they passed the law, I think back in 2000 or 2005, and I think it was 2000, somewhere in that area. And the murder rate is still really high during petty crimes. Yeah. And so that directly speaks to the fact that if you don't have a gun, the guy's not going to kill you. That is not true at all, because nobody wants to go to jail for an extended period of time for armed robbery. And the only way you're robbing me is if you have an arm, if you're armed, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, the Furby's logical fallacies are great. They're great.
Well, and the thing is
that never ending.
I kind of learned this one strategy when it comes to anything crime, anything gun related for the U.S. and how to argue it. The thing is that if you look at just like the raw numbers of X number of certain gun crime has happened per year. You could see maybe it go a little bit up, a little bit down, whatever. But one thing you need to keep in mind is that if you compare it to the 60s up until now, crime in general has been going down. Mm-hmm. Every crime has been going down, and our population has been going up. So that means the amount of crime per capita has been in a constant free fall since the 60s, except for around COVID. That's the only exception, was around COVID. And that just kind of debunks literally like everything when it comes to, it doesn't matter what the policies are around here over the past like 70 years. It doesn't matter, because we're actually in the safest time in history right now.
Yeah, I mean that's a real fact. We are safer. We have the least amount of if you want, I think the best terminology I've heard is wrongful deaths. We have the least amount of wrongful deaths, I think, in a long time, like a very, very long time. So at the end of the day, I don't know. I feel like that I feel like my biggest issue was the Furby is so bad faith. I just know that no matter what it comes up with, it's going to be a horrible argument. Like all.
The thing is that I honestly think this. I have a weird theory on this, but it seems to be consistent. It just seems like that transgender people, if they're willing to lie about what is ingrained in them, their identity, their truth, they're willing to lie about anything. And I know that seems like a really like biased, harsh stance to take, but I haven't really met a trans that is not psychotic, and this is even way before it's been
See,
a trend.
I was going to go there. I was at UK charge is called offensive weapons. Thank you, lanes changer. So I was actually going to call that out. I was going to bring in the fact that within the Furby's own recommendations, he would not be allowed to own a firearm because he has a mental illness. The only reason I didn't is because Sarah has a weirdness when it comes to the trans formers that I haven't really.
They make money.
Yeah, I haven't
Sarah's about
really
money.
like come to grips with why she's so. I mean, other than the money, I don't understand why she's kind of protective of the toonies, but it is what it is, and that's fine. There's no, no skin off my teeth, as they say. But at the end of,
I'm coming down to just based off of a risk assessment. If somebody comes out and identifies as trans, they immediately drop so many levels on how trustworthy they are in my book.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I just DM'd Chris Lestrange that we're talking about him on my show. I'm like, hey, I'm talking about you on my show. We'll see if he listens to Discord.
I want to go back to that Colombian guy's argument about how all the guns were coming from America and making his.
Dude,
like,
did you see his face
stuff?
when I asked him when did America start making AK-47s?
yeah.
That was fucking great, man.
Or when you asked him, it's like, oh, if somebody's robbing your house, wouldn't you rather have a gun? Or maybe Clover Tech brought that up, but
I was Clover Tech wasn't on there yet.
Yeah, it's he just couldn't answer that question directly. It's like
he didn't want to.
The thing is that what's strange is that he's blaming America for having the guns and for the cartels coming in and making his country worse with those guns. My question is, what the hell is his country doing?
Right.
It's like, what is his government doing? Why is it the government's not stopping this problem? And even if he goes in and says, oh, well, it's run by the cartels, it's like, well, how about you start buying guns and defending yourself? Like, seriously, it's don't blame us for your problems.
So that's an interesting point. Imperius, yes, you do to have your guns removed. However, on the 4473, it asks you if you have any mental health conditions, and if you answer it honestly as a tranny, they're gonna fail you. You're gonna flunk. They have to lie on a 4473 to buy a gun.
I think there's a lot of gun shops that would just look at a person and know that they're a trans and just be like, nope.
Yeah,
it's like too much of liability.
Yeah, you fail.
It's like you guys are at a 60% unaliving ideation rate. We got to protect our butts and our licenses.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is that a lot of people you will hear people say that for that gun shops will sell to anyone, and that is absolutely not true. I have been in gun shops when a person who came in, they were visibly upset. They asked very interesting questions. And, the gun shop gets that whiff of the wrong scent, I guess you would say. And they're like, nope, no, not doing it. And it's an interesting thing to watch. And I think I know I related this story once. I don't know when it was, but I was in my local gun store, and I just finished shooting and I was kind of hanging out, chatting with the dudes, and I happened to look out the door, and there was this woman in a car crying and hitting the seat, and it's like working up the energy or whatever to come on inside the gun store. And she never did come inside, and what ended up happening was we actually called the police on her to do a welfare check, because it was so strange. It was such an odd thing, you know, that it was very interesting. Yeah, Mr. All of the problem, I didn't go into how to debunk the Furby's arguments, because I honestly didn't hear any arguments made. I heard Gish Gallop, I heard logical, I heard appeal to authorities, or authority. I heard red herring. I heard the genetic fallacy. This thing is bad because it follows this thing, and that's, you know, you can't have, which I think there's another term for it other than genetic fallacy, but that's fine. And you know, there was basically the Furby literally just made every possible fallacy that you could make. Straw man and Tinky Tack is right. I didn't really point it out because I said straw man, but as a tactic, the Furby would make a straw man argument, right? Like I would say, for example, guns do make people safe. It's self-evident. The Furby would take my argument, straw man it into me saying something like everyone that has a gun is safe, or some crap like that.
Yeah.
And build off of it by then saying, well, we know that that's not true because a woman in a house with a woman in a household with a gun is 8 times more likely to be shot, or some crap. And first of all, that's a genetic, that's bad. That's a genetic argument. It's wrong. It's fallacy. One thing does not come from the other. It doesn't follow. You can't say that. There's no way to make that argument. It starts out as a straw man. You give a statistic with no citation. You give a statistic that we have no way of knowing is true. And when pushed, she would refer back to these documents compiled by leading experts. But that doesn't make them the authority. The authority is like the FBI. The FBI gets to have input on gun laws and who can and cannot have a gun. That makes them the authority. Whether we like it or not, they are the authority. So it's an interesting deal. I mean, again, the Furby is just absolutely. I mean, what's
psychotic,
crazy is that every single fallacy, like I can't name a fallacy that was not committed.
Well,
no true Scotsman. There, you know, maybe.
Well, Mel argues like a woman who just likes to argue about everything.
Right.
I literally will just like try to say things just to piss you off, even if
that's what I think. I think the reality is that the Furby knows it has absolutely no argument. The Furby knows that it's completely fallacious, but if it can be aggressive enough and act wounded enough, maybe it'll get you to rage and say something stupid or spurg out or whatever. And
well, I think Furby does think that their arguments are good, and they have arguments, but they live inside all day reading books and reading studies and don't actually experience the real world. I literally think that Mel shapes their world entirely off of writings and just what the writings say.
Could be. And I think that you're probably right about that, because the Furby has admitted that it lives on like some weird mushroom farm or something like that. Like, it doesn't have an actual life as you and I know it. Angel Berber says, Grid One, I never understood my leftist Latino people. As a Latino Arab, what a great mix that is. Both the Latino and Arab sides are highly right-leaning. Seems like an oxymoron when I see leftist Arabs or Latinos. I'm going to be honest with you, Angel Berber. I don't think you want that guy listed as Latino. He seemed a little light in the loafers. You know, he might play for the other team. Just saying. And that would color his viewpoint of everything. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. I just didn't get that machismo out of him. You know what I mean?
So I'm usually not the man for gossip.
Okay.
I try to stay very minimal on the gossip, but I guess this isn't a public forum, so it's not really gossip, you know.
No. I mean, we're critiquing a show.
Yeah. So you mentioned something about younger generations and getting hired or working, trying to find.
We're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah. I'll try to join for that. Sure. Thursdays are usually busy days for me, though. So
that's okay.
But I have a lot of good tips. I have a lot of good tips for the young.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
But yeah, it's maybe to critique Chris a little bit. So I like how he held hard on the idea of demonstrate the logic. You know, it's like screw this idea of what the statistics say. What is the logical entailment that proves that the statistics leads to the claim? And he was able to demonstrate a lot of things to show that stats don't really mean anything. You know, it's like you could come up with a lot of conclusions from the stats.
Yeah. So I will say that Chris did an admirable job, even though he didn't seem to really have the technical expertise. He did a very admirable job of not getting angry, or because I think honestly, I think the Furby's only real weapon, if you will, is it wants you to get angry. It wants to piss you off. Because you know that it's committing these fallacies, you know that it's lying, you know all of these things, and it knows that you know, and what it's really hoping is that you'll lose your cool and rage quit or say something really stupid and like
trying to get the clips.
Yeah. It really just wants to. I feel like it knows that it can't debate worth a crap. So its biggest strength is being able to get you, the person arguing with it, to lose your cool and lose the argument on your own. And so that's what I think. It's like strongest deal is, and I would say that I would say it's effective. I think a lot of people that go against the Furby have that. I think the reason that it constantly comes into our realm is because like the Furby's not been able to get Flow State angry. And and Flow State just tears it apart. Crystal Strange doesn't get it, so it's unsuccessful in pulling that magic trick in our community, and so it's kind of it knows defeat, and it hates the defeat, so it wants to come back, and it wants to win. So, but that's it.
I don't think he could beat Flow State because he's not going to fight something that he knows he can't win.
Right. Well, the thing about Flow State is that he will just simply repeat the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't. He's like water. He's just going to flow around. Right. 999 comes in from Wrongful Rage. Furby debunked its FBI study when the 3 mil saved by brandishing comment. Yeah, absolutely. Because they both came from the same study. So that was fun. Right. And it's so weird how it was very interesting to me how the Furby was arguing for U.S. points. And the we're gonna get Crystal Strange up here in just a few minutes, so we'll be able to talk to him directly. But it was interesting that the Furby was talking mostly about the U.S. and not Canada. It didn't use Canadian stats. It didn't talk about any of that because it knows that the actual statistics, the real statistics, show that even though Canada has made it basically legal to own a gun, and you have to jump through all these hoops and just you have to do all these things to even own a gun, let alone you can't carry it, right? The Furby knows that the crime is still increasing. People are still dying. They're getting shot. They're getting, all of these things. It knows that, and it can't defend it. So it has to use the U.S. Because that's where it felt. I honestly believe that's how it felt like it could come out ahead. Obviously, I don't think it did. I think it lost hardcore and huge. Because
I think just the arguments were just so disconnected from reality. It's
Sure.
like even the simple comment of it's like, oh, neighbors are afraid of other neighbors who have guns. And it's like, that is like the biggest projection ever, because it's like, there are so many states where it's like they have open carry laws. They have concealed carry with no license laws now being implemented.
Here.
And yeah, same here in Texas. And I know my neighborhood, every single household has guns, plural.
At least
it's like
one.
It's like they're going out there and shooting in their backyard. They're plinking cans and shit, and nobody's afraid of each other. Heck, we freaking trade bullets with each other. Like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's an interesting thing. It's rare. It was really good, right? I give Chris the W. Wrongful Rage. I'm just kind of critiquing some of his. I'm very curious to find out if he was aware that the Furby was committing all of these fallacies and just didn't want to go for it or what. I'm very curious. It's kind of neither here nor there. I'm just kind of curious. So it was just an interest. And to me, the interesting thing is not just that specific argument or that specific debate. It seems like a lot of the debates that I've been in, and I debated like every night last week except for Tuesday night. Like every night I was in a debate. And
yeah, you're staying busy.
Yeah. And whether I wanted to be in one or not. And the, at the end of the day, the fallacies that I run into are the same fallacies over and over and over again. And what's most interesting is people that I feel like should know how to call these out don't call them out. And
I think it's just not well practiced. I think those types of things are more practiced in formal debates, 1v1s, and you can fine tune it a lot better. And a lot of these
Yeah,
people
sure.
are in group panels, kind of like free flowing, and don't really have the time to really like dissect a person's claim.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's not a question of necessarily even dissecting it, right? But it strengthens your position, right? Like if you and I were debating and you said some, some garbage about how, you have this study from the CDC that shows that we should all wear masks.
Yeah.
And I say, bull. That is an appeal to authority. They are not the authority, and we should not listen to it. Then you would say, do we need the, I don't know which link he's talking about. I'm assuming the guest link. Let me drop that in the mod room here. Sorry guys, just admin stuff. Just admin stuff. There we go. Done deal, Raging Patriot. But like just it could be any fallacy, to be honest. It could be red herring, it could be anything. But let's just say that you make us appeal to authority, and I call it out as, hey, dude, that's an appeal to authority. You know you're lying. You know you're wrong. You're just trying to make a point that doesn't exist. I think even in blood sport, calling it out, it does to me, it does two things at minimum, and maybe three. First, it lets your opponent know that you know what you're doing, and they're going to have to work harder to get away with stuff. And
that works sometimes.
And second, it lets the audience know what the guy is doing, and it strengthens your position while it makes the other person look like they're having to be deceitful to try and come at you. And so maybe the third thing is if you can prove it, right? Like if I say, well, that's an appeal to authority, and here's why. Because the CDC is not the ultimate authority in what I should do with my body. I am the ultimate authority with what I should do with my body, and that is the end of the argument. Then I come out looking a lot better, and my opponent comes out looking like that they're a Karen. And both of those things can be true at the same time, obviously. But
yeah. So I think that could work half the time. The other half, it just dives into a meta conversation about, okay, what is a fallacy, blah, 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 blah. But the strategy that I see that Andrew uses for like appeal to authority fallacies when people's bringing up a lot of statistics is he just puts it simply. Yeah, and it's like, I'm sure you could agree, I could go find a statistic that says the complete opposite on my bias source, and or he doesn't even bring up bias. It's and then he'll try to swing it back. What is a logical entailment that you're trying to demonstrate?
Sure.
So I think if we could find ways to demonstrate the fallacy without calling the fallacy directly, it kind of like flicks a switch in the person's brain to be like, oh, I actually can't use that, instead of trying to trail into a meta conversation.
Yeah, I don't think that you'd have to get into a meta conversation in informal or blood sport, but it can be helpful to do that sometimes. I think sometimes taking the argument meta and saying, and instead of getting bogged down in disproving the point 1 point by 1 point, if you can just take it meta and look at their worldview, and especially if you understand their worldview. Now, I don't always understand everybody's worldview, and so I rarely go there, but I see Andrew do this all the time, where he doesn't even address any of the issues. He just literally takes their worldview and says, okay, well, let's look at your worldview here, and let's see if you're even capable of understanding what you're saying. And then he just destroys their worldview, which that way he doesn't have to get into each point by point and get bogged down. I wish I could do that. I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm just not there. I mean, I never practiced that, right? Like that's not something that, I mean, I understand it. I've watched it enough now that I know it when I see it, but at the same time,
Well, Andrew's a different beast.
yeah,
He's well studied. He's a
yes,
bookworm. He reads a lot of freaking books, and he studies intently with the people he goes up to debate. And the thing is that he's just been debating for so long and already has like a deep understanding of their ideologies. He's just kind of like robotically arguing, like, "Oh, I've heard this argument before. I know where he's coming from," and just starts spitting out shit. It's so he's just he's basically in the pro leagues right now. And
yeah, but he's also, so he puts a lot of effort into it, right? So here's the deal: like, I don't like of course, I have not done really yet 1v1 setup debates, right? Like, it hasn't been something I've been interested in, but the panel debates and some of the stuff that that I've been getting into, like over on Verbal Combat and things like that, they're interesting enough. But even though, when I know the subject of the debate, like on when I do the panel debate, when I know the subject, I will pregame here on the show, and then after I'm done with the show, I continue the pregame off of the show, and I don't actually do a whole lot. I don't know if you've watched the debates after we've done the show, but I don't always follow what I did in the show, because I'm very concerned that people are watching me pregame the debate, so they know the points I'm going to make and are ready to counter them before I even get there.
Yeah.
So while I generally stick to the same path, I try not to use all of the same points. So welcome, Chris Lestrange, sir. Welcome. We've been talking about you.
Hey, Gred, I hear you
yes.
talking smack upon me.
Actually, I said you did very well. I said you did. I said that you did very well. However, it bothers me. It bothers me that you didn't call the tuner gremlin on being absolutely bad faith, and call them on all of the fallacies that they presented you, because you had literally every single thing that I'm actually going to name. All right, so from now on, the Furby shall be known as the tuner gremlin, because it looks like a gremlin and it's it's cartoon. So the tuner gremlin is it just literally everything out of its mouth was a fallacy of some kind.
So can I give a count, Gred?
Absolutely. We've been talking about it, so we love
your. I haven't really. I quickly heard some of it, but I wanted to jump on and chat to you.
Sure,
obviously, man. I was like, nah, let's just.
Well, I went and got you because I don't want to talk about it. I never want to be accused of talking about somebody behind their back. If I know that you're online, I'm going to go find you.
Yeah. No, dude. I don't even give a shit. If you go into this space, you can't care about that crap. So no. So do you know what was funny? I think I explained it on my stream or on somebody's stream, where I actually said, so what happened was I looked at the numbers and all of these things, and I heard that part where you guys said about the stats and stuff. It wouldn't have mattered. I don't even care about getting the stats beforehand, because I was looking through the stats. I was decided I'm going to prepare for this. I looked at all the stats, and it jumped into my mind where I just thought to myself, fuck the stats. Fuck the stats. I'm not at all gonna argue with stats, with numbers, none of this. I'm just gonna logic the Furby, because I understand the position so well. I was like, if I just logic this, there's no way out of it. And I wanted to do it in my intro, kind of like Andrew style, but I didn't actually do it in my opening statement, but it was when we started, I mentioned it. As soon as the Furby didn't answer my first question, it lost the debate. So I set up that first question that to logically show it that if it actually answered it honestly, it would have lost the debate. So what I just basically did was just ignore all of her stats the whole night and just kept asking questions, as I knew she would do, or he would do, or whatever. It confuses me sometimes, gremlins. But
yeah, the tuner gremlin.
Yeah, it happens. But I just knew that if there was a refusal to answer my questions, harping on it just delays the discussion, right? And it makes it boring. And I'm happy that I didn't um care about granting it the bullshit it was saying. Because one of the things that I heard the most from everybody that watched, they were like, dude, I can't believe the stupid shit that was said. And I was like, exactly, that's why I let it go. That's why I didn't call it out, Grid. I left it so it would just keep saying dumber and dumber shit. I promised that I wouldn't do verbal combat. I wouldn't blood sport that debate. I said, no, let's just come have a decent discussion. So a lot of times I just sat back and let the Furby spurg, but I guided it with questions. So every now and then I'd interrupt and, say, answer my question, or ask questions. But I could just sit back and let it defeat its own arguments. I literally took the lazy path of letting it destroy itself, but that was planned. Yeah. So in a
Smart
verbal
move.
combat situation, I wouldn't have allowed any of it, because then I would have just been like, I need to win right now. But I knew this was an hour and a half debate. So harping on answer my question would have just made it boring. So I was like, I'm just gonna grant it all of its crazy bullshit and just keep questioning it to show that the logic doesn't pan out every time. I mean, we got such classic statements as, if you are a soldier in a war and you don't have a weapon, you're less likely to be in danger. I mean, that gem was beautiful to me. If you don't have a gun, they won't shoot you in a war. We got those gems, Grid, just because I didn't call it out. I just let it talk.
It was really great. Well, it's not so much that it's just better just to call out. I feel like that it's better to call out when when they're making when the Furby makes an appeal to authority, and it's listing all of these like 500-page studies that it probably didn't even read.
Yeah. But that's why I just called it and said, I don't give a shit about your stats.
Right.
I even said it in the debate. That was me basically saying, don't care about your appeal to authority.
Well,
I just didn't harp on it.
It's the smarter move, because when you actually really do look at the stats, they really don't prove anything at the end of the day.
Yeah. But we even had that in the discussion where I told the Furby, I don't give a shit about the stats because they're all paid for. And then the Furby said, yeah, and the NRA stats. And I said, you're proving my point. And it was just things like that where it didn't even realize what I was doing. I was just showing that it was contradicting itself and illogical by just actually not calling out the stupid shit, but letting it keep happening. And I believe the whole audience saw that. I mean, pretty much everybody that messaged
it didn't
me.
hurt. I mean, it didn't help the Furby at all that its closing was like half of the show. Right, like it just kept talking and talking and talking. And here we go. Let's $9.99 from Wrongful Rage. Chris, the man of the hour, the legend of the slug chuckers. I think he kept saying shell chucker. That was great. May he never fall. May he never fall. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, the shell chucker was my invention. I was like, I want to play with in TOS with Sarah stuff, and also Grid. The thing is, because people see the verbal combat debates and stuff that I do. Like sometimes I'll get mean and I'll be a little bit of an asshole. But I specifically said on this one, I don't want anybody to say I did that. So, I even said to Sarah, I wasn't mean once. I didn't once blood sport. I didn't once verbal combat. I didn't do one ad hom. None of that.
But the interesting thing is just the sheer litany of fallacies, though. It's so, like, I think I'm not 100% sure that I don't know that it committed a No True Scotsman. It probably did. I just didn't hear it.
Yeah, I think it did.
But every other fallacy, it hit.
It did. The self-deletion was in essence a No True Scotsman, because it kept saying, well, if it was that if they use the gun, the gun is superior to the other methods, because if you use the other methods, you're safe. So it was making the distinction of the intention of it is different just because of the method, or the method negates the intention, basically.
Right.
So as if not all of those thoughts that come, the
Right.
self-deletion thoughts, are exactly the same thing. The tool is what matters, where that's
Yeah.
just stupid on its face. So in essence, that was basically your no true Scotsman fallacy in a roundabout way.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. I was, but and I picked, and that was just one of the. Well, let me back up a minute. So I've been like last week, Chris. I think I debated every night but Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I started out with Monday night on the Reverie. Tuesday I didn't debate. I don't think. I'm pretty positive I didn't. Wednesday night, I jumped into somebody's panel debate. I forget what it was. Thursday was Admiral Gibbs debate, which was actually a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that because those guys just weren't really ready for that, which was fine. Friday was Friday. I did the show, and then I went and did verbal combat. I got in 2 1v1s there.
Yeah.
And actually, that's actually what I started talking about, was how with Corinth, Corinth was trying to take my argument and go around it by appealing to, or changing the actual argument from isolationism, where we would stop being the world police, and he turned it into tried to turn it into an economic argument, which I went along with for a while, and then said, hey, okay, that's all cool, but that's an economic argument. It's great, but it's not the argument I'm making. And of course he didn't do well with that. And then who's that guy's name? Something 409, Cleaner 409.
Yeah, Cleaner
went in with Teriak, and he got sent home because he didn't recognize Teriak's red herrings, and kept engaging with the idea that you should, that because Teriak was basically creating this scenario where somehow Russia was magically going to put missiles in Mexico. And remember, what was the Cuban Missile Crisis for? And I was like, yeah, I'll grant you that it's because they were going to put missiles there, but they never did, and it was a hoax. And we understand, and now we know that, and we are able at this point with our technology is great enough that it doesn't matter. You can put all the missiles you want in Mexico if they let you. But Mexicans hate communists, so good luck with that.
Yeah, he could have done that in a better direction. I would have
He could have really done that in a better direction.
Yeah, I even said it in chat. I would have nailed you on protecting trade routes. That would have been a better argument than what he made.
Yeah, but again, that's where Corinth tried to do that. But you can't nail me on that because I can still protect my own ships. I'm just saying that everybody else has to protect theirs. And this is why, and again, I made the point, and which is one of the winning points, is that the only reason France, Germany, England, Spain, all of those European, the entire EU, the only reason it exists in the way that it does is because we provide them protection. We provide them our military might, and yet we don't get paid anything. And if you want to refer to us as a cop on a beat, which and we're walking the beat, we're the world police, cops get paid, and the U.S. isn't getting paid by anybody. As a matter of fact, we have each one of those countries have tariffs in place that punish us despite living under the protection that we provide. And so why would we do that? That's a bad argument. Why would I protect the trade route of a country that has a tariff against me, but we do not tariff their goods? So everything that they bring into the country, our citizens buy, and it helps their economy. everything we want to export to their country, which is why we don't export a lot,
Yeah.
is charged at this massive tariff on everything for a U.S. made good. Like Levi's blue jeans is a perfect example. I use cars. I beat Corinth with cars, but
Yeah.
we could use Levi blue jeans. Any country on the planet can make blue jeans.
Yeah, but your debate with Corinth was obviously a slightly different one, though.
Well, he picked that tactic. I didn't.
Yeah.
I told him not to do that, but he did it
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is also,
It was the same subject though as the one I
Yeah.
debated Teriak. It was the exact same. I just debated economic and military might on the same same subject.
Oh
Same
yeah,
night.
no, it's true. Yeah, it was. No, man, was it for isolationism? No, it wasn't.
Yes,
The
I
one
was
with-
for. I am an isolationist, and he is an well, and he also misunderstood
No,
the
but
argument.
that
I
wasn't
think.
the one with Corinth. That wasn't isolation.
That was.
it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
100%. Yeah, you came in late on that one.
Yeah, I was in the back for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, as usual, got on and got kicked off.
Yeah.
Hey, so
That's
I
fine.
want to squeeze in here with a
Yeah,
little
man.
bit
Yeah.
of the grift going
Yeah.
on.
Let's
So, Wrongful Rag, thank you very much for all the donos. You have been the
It's
staunch
wrongful
support.
rage. It's wrongful rage. The name
I
is
thought
spelled
so,
incorrectly.
but I thought so. Wrongful Rage, thank you very much for the super chats out there. And if everybody else, if you can even just split out like $2, $3 just to show that you care, that would be awesome. Because right now this stream is completely funded by Grid, and he won't be able to keep this thing alive just by spending on his own assets. So please send in those super chats.
I forget to
W
grift all the
Tiki-Tac
time.
for
I'm the worst. I'm the
for the
worst
grift.
grifter.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Wrongful Rage. I do appreciate that. Imperius, you know what? Go ahead and give Imperius the link. I can't tell if that's actually Wrongful Rage or if that's Imperius impersonating Wrongful Rage. But yeah, it looks like it is.
Okay.
It is actually Wrongful Rage, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, Grid, what I wanted to say with that is it's interesting. One thing that I have had to realize is you have to change. Not all debates are equal, right? And the thing is
Sure.
also, like, when you have a discussion, it's different than a debate. So, like, I'll treat a formal debate different to a blood sports debate, and a 5-minute debate different to an hour debate. You kind of have to accommodate for the situation a lot of times.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
But at the same
the
time,
approach is slightly different.
yeah. At the same time, though, I personally find it very helpful to call out and expose the fallacious arguments, call them out for what they are, and say I'm not going to. And because again, a lot of times I'll literally say I'm not going to engage on that because
It's fallacious.
this is a fallacious argument. I don't even know what you're trying to do here. All of that. So. Arthur Dias says Levi jeans are an international company now, not U.S. made. Yeah, I'm aware of that, but back in the day, and for a long time, Levi jeans were very expensive in every single country in the world because because they were made here, and every country in the world had massive tariffs on our products, all of our products, and they still do to this day.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that is the way it is, but what can we do? So
No, for sure. But yeah, no, the thing is, yeah, and it was interesting also with your debate with Corinth and them. That was with Corinth especially. That was a good one. But the problem is a lot of times, the thing is, right? We've also had this discussion. It's also specifically why I did the don't be mean approach. Is sometimes if you argue in bad faith and you're kind of a dick and you're just loud, you can think you're good at debating because you can just overtalk people and win. It's kind of a blood sports type of thing. And I don't know with the other guys, I can't speak for anybody, but I've seen a little bit of that in circles where people think they're good debaters because they do that. So it was interesting, just doing the polar opposite of that for once was quite interesting, because I find this a lot, and it's something that's quite good with Andrew's style, is he rarely ever would make an argument in bad faith. Doing that does not show you can debate. Just because you yell over somebody and call them a retard doesn't mean you're good at debating.
Yeah. As somebody that will literally, I not only match energy, but I push pretty hard sometimes, and on purpose, right?
Yeah.
And as somebody that does that, I find it a fairly effective technique.
Yeah, no, it's definitely effective.
And not because I'm necessarily being mean about it, but more because, like with the Furby, when I came in and they let me on the panel, and the Furbies immediately started to what's the word I'm looking for here? Not really rage, but its aggression like ratcheted up.
That
Right?
was amazing when you two started yelling at each other, Gred. That was
Well,
like
that's
one
what I
of my
mean.
highlights of the night.
The Furby ratcheted up, and it's like it wants people to. I think that it's very used to people being afraid to ratchet up with it.
Yeah.
Where I'm not. I don't care. I don't care who you are. We're just gonna zap it, right? We're gonna go right in it. $4.99 comes in from Carney's Ride. Thank you, brother. Here's a little something. I appreciate the $5. Every little bit helps. It really
Carney.
does. But it was interesting because I feel this way. You guys tell me this. Even when I get really loud and sound aggressive, I feel like that I'm not projecting a lot of anger necessarily. I'm just being loud so that you can. I'm not getting shouted over.
Yeah.
And I think I try, and actually that's something I really try and do. I really try and I'll even laugh, like, and just show that, hey, I'm not mad about this. Like this is just, they're gonna yell, I'm gonna yell.
Yeah, no,
we're
you
gonna do
have to
we're gonna
match
do this.
energy. But
Yeah.
that's a thing. I also didn't, that's specifically why I said, Gred, I wanted to do that approach, because it's also why as soon as you came in, it raged out, is because it was used to my energy of I basically did the stoner thing of just sat back and asked it questions. I didn't give any amped up energy really throughout the night, like very kept it very mellow. So by the time you guys jumped on, as soon as somebody came in with some actual conflict, it all that bent up pressure broke out of the Furby. So that's why. But see, I wanted to avoid that, because that we see a lot. I wanted it to just talk and speak bullshit for once, and it was difficult, but that was purposeful. But I have to admit, what you did was way more entertaining, in my opinion. That was the highlight of my night.
It was brutal for
the
the Furby,
night.
I think. I don't know well, let me know in the chat, guys. You guys were watching it. I feel like everybody was or has watched it by now. Tiki Tack,
Yeah.
what was your impression? I know you were there. Tiki Tack is away from.
Tiki Tack's muted. So
Oh, he's muted? He self mutes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can see his mic's muted, so he's probably AFK or something.
Yeah, he might be AFK. All right, $9.99 from Wrongful Rage again. Just holding down the fort here at Fort Grift. I have a feeling the savages are hoarding their wealth. Thank you, sir.
Wrongful
Appreciate
Rage is
that.
a legend.
He's out with his dogs, so he can't
Okay.
he can't talk right now.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
But I
what I
enjoy
was
that.
Go ahead.
I enjoyed your section of the debate, Grid. Like I said, to me that was more entertaining. I just wanted to try something different. And it's like people that will obviously have seen me on Verbal Combat and stuff know, a lot of people commented I was super chilled, but it's difficult, Grid. It's not always easy to do that and let people just talk bullshit.
Yeah.
That's why I even look back at it. I roll my eyes so much I felt like a blonde white woman because you can visibly see me like I think I
That's awesome.
counted like 4 or 5 times where I literally look up and roll my eyes because I'm like, just be quiet, and my insides was like shaking. So that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. No, it isn't. There's a lot of times when, if especially if you see me like, I'll I'll like hold my chin, or I'll do something like
Yeah.
this, and that's really when I'm like,
You want to pop.
I want to just take you out at the knees, but I know the tactical thing to do is just let you keep running your mouth,
Yeah.
and so that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, because that was the interesting thing that I wanted to try out is logical question. If it spurgs and doesn't address the logic, it will start contradicting itself. Because if you're not catching the logic and you're going opposite to logic, you're gonna start contradicting. So I
Right.
wanted to kind of be quiet, let it start contradicting itself, because I basically just let the Furby fight itself, and I just gave it the fire to fight itself with, and it was an interesting approach, but yeah, difficult to keep my
Yeah,
mouth shut.
and I did that once. It needed to rage, I think, because the
Yeah,
minute I mean,
I was too
honestly,
chilled.
literally the minute I walked in, it was just like through the roof. And of course, I just responded right back. And the cool part is that it didn't know what it was talking about. So
Yeah,
it was like, and I'm like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. And it
yeah.
was just, but it couldn't do anything but try and call me stupid while I'm sitting there going, but you
Shit,
don't know what you're talking about.
I wouldn't even
The
debate an
FBI knows where all the
American on
guns
how
are.
to
And I'm like,
purchase a
no,
firearm.
that doesn't follow. You're
I mean,
muted
I
or
know.
something there,
I
Chris.
mean,
Your mic is off. You bumped your mic or something.
and now, hold on.
But that was funny, guys. That was great because the Furby was like, I think it was really, it was, I think it was counting on a different response or something, and it just it didn't understand the depth of my knowledge. So you hear him and I don't hear him. Maybe I know what it. Hang on, stand by. I did something. Say something, Chris.
Yo, Grid.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
That may have
No.
been on my end, to be honest with you.
Okay, no, I checked it now. I could have switched mics, so that's good to know. Yeah.
Okay. They said they heard you. I couldn't hear you. I may have hit something on my panel here when I was
Yeah.
passing around too.
No, that's fine. But what I was gonna say is, Grid, I wouldn't even debate an American on how to purchase a firearm. I'd be like, I'm not winning. Not even I would win that debate. Even if I looked into the laws, I like,
Yeah.
no way. That
Right.
I was like, as soon as Mel did that, I was like, oh no, you
They opened the door.
You
Don't
just
open the
went in
door.
deep water in a lake with crocodiles. Why would you do that?
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
pretty interesting. I had it was that was good, and then I thought Clover Tack really it was towards the end, and I think the tuner gremlin was kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The tuner gremlin was probably like, it was tired, and it just was kind of defeated, and it didn't want any, and so
No.
the Clover Tack had it the easiest.
Yeah, but we figured out, we deduced this on a panel grid where we said the kryptonite of the Furby is to be nice to it. And I actually took that to heart this time around, where that's why I'm saying I'll just let it talk. Because that's the kryptonite of it. It likes the rage and the spurging and the debate my statistics and my appeal to authority. And I knew that was going to happen. So I was like, I'm just not gonna play your game because now I took all of your power away from you, and that's why when you showed up, it was like, wait, now I can get what I crave from Grid. I can do the rage.
Yeah.
So I just took that away. I was like, I'm not letting you do this. When I'm not even gonna, I just ignore it. And the problem was, I also knew it wouldn't expect that. So that's why I specifically did that, because it also knows me, and we've had the ba 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 rage call every little thing out, and eventually I just got bored. I was like, this is just pissing me off. But yeah, it's all in the approach. But it definitely raged out on you.
Yeah, it was an interesting thing with the Furby this time. But most of the debates I had last week,
Yeah.
it's very interesting. It's almost like the no, I'm getting an echo. Why am I getting an echo?
Is it them or me? Let me quickly see.
Oh, it could be coming through. I could be hearing it on your end.
Let me
I
quickly
think it might be
see.
you, Chris. Yeah, because I hear the echo myself as well.
Okay, hold on. No, wait, I don't think it's me.
Well, it's not super horrible. But Grid, I think we need to get you on more 1v1s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just because you do a lot of research prep before your debates, and you only get through maybe like 10 or 20% of your actual pinpoints. And if you're in a 1v1, now you could actually observe the opponent and see what their takes are, research their takes, and
There we
be able
go.
to
That
get
should be
through
better.
essentially all of your dialogue. Yeah, there's no more echo.
Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go.
It's interesting. I don't mind the 1v1s that much. The uh, the 1v1s I've had recently have been pretty good. The trying to think which one is my favorite. I don't
Yeah,
know.
what was your favorite of the week?
My favorite one of the week was oh man, it's tough because I really enjoyed throwing him under the bus on Gibbs's panel with all of the drug stuff, right? But the problem is that Scott and I were basically kind of saying the same. We were saying different things, but they were really close to the same. And so it was easy for us to kind of tag team the entire rest of the panel.
Yeah.
And so that was fun, but you know, it did seem a little bit disingenuous. Probably honestly, Corinth was probably my favorite. Corinth was probably my favorite because Corinth is really smart, and he went. Corinth wanted to. Corinth. I know what Corinth wanted to do is to make it all about economics and how we would ruin the petrodollar and all this stuff, and if we stopped being the world police, and I just did my best to negate that, and Teriak would have been a really good one, except he started out, which I come to. I think Teriak's default is he just wants to yell a lot. It's not.
I think he likes to repeat himself a lot as well.
Yeah. I'm trying. It's not that he can't. It's not that he can't sit there and be kind of toned down and just ask the questions and dig down. But it seems like his preferred, or at least last week, it seemed like every debate that I saw Teriak in was him just basically ramped up to 10 or 12 and just kind of idling there while and just, you know, because that's how he defeated Cleaner 409. He Cleaner 409, if he had simply called out the red herring early, said there's no point in dealing with this is a red herring, let's talk about the actual issue, then let's go with it, Cleaner probably would have won that debate. He did have a more solid footing, but he, unfortunately, Cleaner did not. He fell for the red herring, and he just kept allowing Terry. And that's the thing, right? If you're not going to call it out, if you're not going to put a stop to it, the other guys are just going to keep running with it, and you're going to lose.
Yeah, see, the thing is, it does work. Sorry, Tiki Taka, I just want to say, it does work on verbal combat, though, and that's the thing. And I have seen Teriak obviously debate when he's more chilled and all of that, but he was definitely high energy. He definitely was high energy that night, but it was more than normal. But yeah, sorry, Tiki Taka.
Yeah, I just want to have a comment on the social maturity remark that Mike Paul said. I kind of noticed that too when I was what was it? When the argument of no fault divorce on Sarah's panel, where I was actually trying to make a point that children have difficulties being able to build their testimony against their abusive parents, so it's hard to convict sometimes because of the brainwashing they go through. And it seemed like the rest of the panel had kind of an agreement in like what I was saying, but Teriak was literally just seemed very disconnected to the situation. And I realized like everybody else on the panel has kids and he doesn't, you know, and that just kind of like came into his social maturity of understanding the situation of like what seemed so obvious to the rest of the panel wasn't so obvious to in his worldview.
Yeah, I sometimes tend to try avoid too many discussions if possible about kids, and I've stated this before at one point where I just purely said I don't want to have this discussion with somebody that has children, because it's not, I'm not going to do that whole thing of you're not qualified because you don't know, because we're not doing that, because that's also just appeal to authority bullshit. But I myself have kind of conceded where I'm like, I don't actually want to talk about this because it's a touchy subject, and I would say unless you really have kids, you don't know the full extent of it. Even though I'm uncle of 5 baby girls, it's not the same if it's your own kids, right? So also giving out prescriptives regarding children, I feel like I'm just like, not that I can't, but I myself feel I'm not qualified to do that.
I was just giving real life experiences, me as a child, more than anything. And Teriak was trying to frame it like I was. I don't want to knock on him because I like the guy.
Teriak's awesome. He's a good
dude.
dude.
He's really cool.
None of these I should point out too, guys. Look, I'm not overly criticizing anyone. I am 100% not talking shit behind somebody's back or anything like that. I'm just talking about the debate.
He's also cool.
Furby.
Well, no, I'll tell the Furby the same thing. The Furby, come on up and I will berate you because you're an idiot debater.
But no, Grid, you don't have to apologize. Like, that's why I was just joking when I came in. None of us care. Like I just said, dude, Teriak's cool. He won't. None of this is shit talking. I think we're all grown up enough to know what shit talking is. You're just giving honest criticism. That's not a problem.
That's why I see a problem with some people is that they don't recognize the debate as a game. You know, it's like it's a battlefield. You go out there to compete. You're going to get angry at each other, but once you walk out at the end of the day, It's dropped. It doesn't matter anymore. And maybe we'll change our opinions because of the fight, because we rethink about the arguments and be like, oh,
Yeah.
I may have been a jerk, but that guy might have been right, and you may change the opinion towards the future, and that's just how it works.
Yeah, you worded it really well, like a sport. It's the same thing if it was, you know, like a fist fight or, you know, you were in a ring. You'd be like, dude, you kept dropping your fucking guard. What were you doing? That's why you got hit in the face the whole time. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck was that? You're not angry at the person or telling them they're shit at fighting. You're like, in this fight, you fucked up in this way and this way and this way. You shouldn't have done
I think
that.
it helps everybody.
Yeah.
I think it helps everybody to sit back and I as an impartial guy, I can sit back and say, you know, Chris,
Yeah.
I feel like that if it had been me, and I feel like it would have helped you out a lot, you would have even more trounced the Furby if you called the Furby out on all of those. And you don't have to make a big deal about it. Just be like, hey, why are you making an appeal to authority when you're the guy who compiles a study in your own words? Is why is he an authority? And when the Furby cannot answer that, that's a dunk. I mean, it's just straight up, like, you know, because the Furby can't answer, or the Furby lies and answers it, and you say, well, that's not an authority, right? Like, that's not how that works. Which is, I was able to kind of do that, but the Furby was at that point. The problem with being on the panel and doing what I was trying to do is there were 5 other people up there skirmishing, and so I just couldn't nail it down like I wanted to.
And one of the things also, I'll say this as a good section for the Furby though. It does take a lot of balls, emphasis on the balls, to keep coming back, right? And I mean it does have balls, you know. It's not scared, and generally when it comes on panels, it's fighting the whole panel, which I give respect for that. You know, I agree with almost everything, but for having gotten triggered on a panel before and knowing the experience of having to fight an entire panel, that's not an easy thing to do. That takes some balls. So good on it for that. I'll always say that. I give credit where credit is due.
I think he enjoys the beating.
Yeah, I also think
let's
so.
just be honest that he has chemically neutered his balls, so they're probably not that big anymore.
But the body's always fighting.
No, I said it takes balls, not big balls. Big balls is flipping a motocross bike 2 times backwards on a sketchy ramp. That takes big balls. That takes big man balls. But just having balls just means like it mans up a lot. So I give props.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll give it that. It keeps stepping in the ring. It gets punched in the face so much where I'm like, just throw in the towel, Rocky. Just throw in the towel. But like Tiki Tak said, I think it enjoys it. So I mean,
yeah. Well, it's an interesting thing for sure. But again, I think the Furby. I think it continuously comes around because people will engage, and it kind of knows who it can kind of tee up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think old Joe said it. I mean, the content's entertaining. I mean, Furby is entertaining to debate. I also enjoy it because it's good to have opposition. It's not the best. I mean, you could say there could be better opposition with regards to debate quality, but the entertainment is there. So at least that portion of it is enjoyable, But I would take this to a little bit of a fucking lame position and say I'm hoping that the Furby hanging out with everybody in these circles and mainly Christian circles. Hopefully we can prevent it from cutting its balls off and doing weird shit. Maybe it'll get better
Been
with
around a
time.
long time, man. Grumpelstiltskin was on and was talking about how he's known the Furby for a very,
Many
very long
years.
time on Twitch,
Yeah.
and it's there's some issues there. The
I keep hope. I
I
keep
kind of
hope.
didn't really want to stick too much on the Furby. I really want to talk about a
Yeah.
lot of different debates. But one last thing about the way that I view the Furby, and I'm probably wrong on this, but it's just the way I view it. I don't really. The Furby is a distraction more than anything. Like it. It isn't a good debater, and when it gets kicked off on verbal combat, it always cries about it, about how, well, nobody likes me, so that's why I got kicked off. And it's not like, and okay, maybe that's true if you're losing to James, right? That very well could be true. You may not have, everybody could just not like you, but if you're losing to you, or if the Furby's losing to Teriak or somebody like that, maybe maybe your argument just wasn't that compelling. And I have this whole like weird outlook about how you should be able to argue both sides of the argument, or just don't argue it at all.
Yeah.
Right. Now, whether you like to argue both sides, that's irrelevant, but you should be able to argue both sides.
Yeah.
Right? You should be able to say, I should be able to argue relatively effectively for or against pretty much everything that I want to argue about. Now, I can't always, because my mind won't get to that mental place, but as far, the only other comment I can have about the Furby is I don't believe that it's genuine. I don't believe that any of the positions it takes are genuine. I believe that they come from a point of mental illness, and so and that's why it does not and almost cannot make true logical arguments. All of its arguments are always illogical, and
Yeah.
so that's it.
No, I hear what you're saying, Grid. You know what the problem is, that I think people that's mainly on that side don't realize is they go, oh, nobody likes me, or you guys all suck. That's why you're not getting the debate. Dude, maybe the fucking side you keep choosing is just the dumb one. Like, I've chosen the dumb side of a debate, Grid, and I knew what I was doing, I'm like, this is a shitty position to hold.
I think Mr. is on to something here, where, trans are the bottom of the leftist totem because they're useful idiots. I do believe that it's a mental condition. I do believe that I believe that it's very difficult, if you are not a logical person, to make logical arguments.
Yeah. It's very difficult, like you said, with taking the opposite position. I tend to do that too, because as soon as you argue the other side, you can verify your reasoning for why you hold certain positions. Because as soon as you try poke holes in, this is what I believe, and then you go, no, I'm going to poke every hole that I can in what I believe, it solidifies to you why you hold your position. That's why it's very good to do. But their positions are just bad. That's the problem.
Yeah, okay. It's not wrong. I feel like, though, that the reason that you could argue both sides is you see the logic or the illogic in the arguments.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you understand both the logic and the illogic of your argument and the other side of the argument, even if you don't agree with it, right? And I've stated this many times in some of the debate, some of the positions I've taken, which are, tend to be somewhat, what's the word I'm looking for? Inflammatory. I can take a position just to be the dick, just to be the guy that's just to be obstinate.
Yeah.
Everybody else is going, yeah, we're going to do all this, and I'll be like, yeah, but what
No.
about this though? You know,
Yeah.
and I can take that position and argue it because even though I disagree with it and I think it's not a particularly logical position, I can see the other side's logic in it, and that makes it easier for me to defeat it. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think the trans as a community do that very well. I don't think the left as a community does it very well because a lot of their positioning is based more on, for lack of a better term, mythology and belief than
And
actual logic and reason.
yeah, but the thing is, that's the problem with it. A lot of the arguments not being grounded in logic and reason. And what's very funny that they also don't realize is you'll find this in atheist circles, in the Troons community. They don't debate each other, Grid. But
Hmm.
you'll find it a lot with Christians. They all debate each other. They're like, why do you hold this position? You know,
Yeah.
we're constantly testing each other on the opposite side of the spectrum, where on the other side of that spectrum, they just agree with each other. They don't call each other out on their bullshit. And I
Hmm.
don't know why they do that. It's not helpful.
It's
And,
because if you don't agree, then you get outs from the
Yeah.
group.
mhm.
And it's,
Yeah,
yeah, it's so
it's
unproductive.
true. We're gonna have a TTS come through now.
Silver Ogre donated $10, super chat.
Yeah,
If your position is
before my
inflammatory,
coffee, man.
talk to Mr. Bulle about Klondike soap. Clear that up.
Clear that up. That's right. Keep it all clear, folks. Keep it clear. All right. So, Ticky Tack, I'm really interested in your position. I know that you've watched a lot of debates last week. What do you think? Where do you think that overall some of the I hate to say key players, but just where do you think people need to improve in general, not individually, but
Um,
oh, you got two
so,
dogs.
yeah, yeah. It's
Oh,
so one is 16 years old, the other one's 3 years old.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't really
Those
say.
people-
I would. The thing is that I think you bring up a lot of really good points around people need to be able to call out the fallacies, or at least like learn the fallacies and be able
Recognize-
to acknowledge them and work around them. Because that's when it comes to the prime Kans or whatever, like panel that you go on to.
Yeah.
That it seems like that they get caught up in these like looped arguments when they don't realize that they're arguing with a fallacious argument. And it's just like it's very unproductive because it really doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
And unfortunately, with some of those like larger panels, is that maybe it's a little bit strategic for like you and Scott to just kind of like stay on the sidelines for a little bit, let them argue because it gives you a bit of a rest period.
We do that.
Yeah, you know.
Actually, that's my tactic. I just sit there and I'll just sit there. I'll literally be like, just listening
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
all the
so-
circular arguments.
It can be beneficial in that way. But I guess just with my style of what I'm used to with debating, I just want to go back to back to back to back and just continue on with it. I get so frustrated on those larger panels, but yeah, it's like recognizing fallacies and being able to work with them. And I guess I can't really like say much more from there. Sure, I could go and argue on the liberal side. It's like they work out their feelings like way too much, but we all know that it's the party of feelings. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah. So let's talk about our buddy Non-Fawn for a minute, because Non-Fawn's the opposite of the Furby. The Furby tries to beat you down with fallacies, hiding them as tactics. Non-Fawn is almost strictly an appeal to authority debater. He tries to beat you with data, and he uses incredulity. What, I cannot talk tonight. I do not know why.
Incredulity.
Yes, thank you. And he uses that quite a lot, actually, to make your position seem wrong. And that's like a Destiny technique. I think he probably watched a lot of Destiny videos and kind of, because that's definitely a Destiny technique.
Yeah, it's just gone through the debate bro scene. That's just a common tactic now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so I guess I like Nonfon a lot because on one hand, because he is data driven, some of his positions are good. The ones that he kind of, I don't want to say manipulates data, but he cherry picks data. That's probably where he needs to really evolve a little bit.
Well, the cherry picking is, I think, it's just more of his technique of research. It's he's searching under a confirmation bias. So, a lot of times, whenever he wants to fight a point, he will find evidence to support his point without really understanding the counter evidence of what may not be true. But it's because his brain is just moving so freaking fast. He's going from one point to the next, to the next, to the next. He doesn't give himself enough time to question. I actually think that he can gain a lot of experience with Corinth. I think if Corinth and him paired up and debated on things, I think Corinth would be more of an aid towards Nonfon in trying to build his more philosophy positions and understand law a little bit more. I might hit up Corinth and see how he feels about that, and pass over a message. But I think he just needs to find a good debate opponent as well. I think surrounding himself by just kind of young idiots is not helping his debate technique, because he could just overpower them with information and just kind of make the people dumbfounded. So I don't think that's helping him much either.
Right. Well, that's exactly what he did with you. That's pretty much how I've seen him in every debate thus far. Is he really attempts to? He seeks technical knowledge. He wants to, and and again, he is the ultimate appeal to authority guy, because he will be like, well, such and such said this, but it'll be some really obscure thing that maybe we believe it, maybe we don't. I don't know. And then he'll present it as, but it's this, which is the real thing.
Well, I also think that it's a bit of a debate thing, because when you actually talk to him, just in a discussion forum, just hop in his Discord. Whenever he's streaming, he's always in his Discord. You can just hop in and start talking to him. He's actually a lot more lenient. He will concede ground on things that he doesn't understand, and walk through it. But when it's in a debate, it's just one of those kind of one of those rule sets that people put in their mind to not concede ground and stick to your point. So I wouldn't take it as a bad faith thing that he's doing that. It's just, it's just a debate tactic.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think he has energy, obviously, he has talent. He needs to, what's the word I'm looking for? He needs to dampen some of it.
Oh, another note about Corinth. So when you're debating with Corinth, and then he starts trying to twist your argument into a different direction, that's when you know you're winning.
Right.
Right. Because he's a smart one to recognize where he's at fault on certain things, or he's not logically following. So he will pivot.
Yeah.
I've caught him a few times doing that.
Yeah, or well, so in my case the other night, and I noticed he did this right out of the gate. I kind of let him run with it because I was like, well, I want to see how this goes, right? And so it wasn't, and I did end up beating him in the economic, even allowing him to make it an economic debate instead of a world police debate. But so I had, I noticed right away that he pivoted there, and and it wasn't until the end where I called him on it and said, "No, this is, that's nice. We're not arguing economics here." So, but I let him do that because it ate up time. And then I only had to make that 1 or 2 points, and then it was cooked.
Yeah.
But I like Corinth a lot. I like his debate style. He's very laid back. He really doesn't like. He doesn't get overly aggressive. It's almost like he's trying to play the college professor, just presenting information and not. What's the word I'm looking? He's not like trying to beat you. He's not trying to browbeat you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, but I like Corinth a lot. He's almost always debates good faith. So I don't think I've caught him debating in bad faith yet. But he definitely, you're right. If he knows that he has that he has taken a weak position, which he does not. One of the interesting things about Corinth is he will not take a weak position if he can avoid it. Like you have to really trap him into it,
unless he thinks you're an idiot.
Right. Yeah. And but yeah, so that's interesting. What about so how do you feel about like some of the rest of the debate bro community that we're rolling in right now? What do you think are the biggest kind of pitfalls that people are falling into that they just should not? Because I know you watch a lot of debates, man. I know you do.
I've slowed down a bit. I feel like the trap that people are falling for right now is that they're focusing way too much on blood sports, which just kind of gets them. It's like blood sports is good. It brings up your rhetorical game, but if that's all you're doing, it's like you're going to sound like an idiot whenever you're on one of those discussion panels,
Sure,
because you're not actually bringing much information to the table. You're just kind of arguing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think technique. What I see right now is technique and stronger rhetoric. But I think a lot of people have gotten their rhetoric game maybe not down, but they have it pretty pumped up. But their technique is lacking. Right? Yeah. Like not understanding what a fallacy is, not knowing the most common fallacies that you're going to run into, which you can literally like just do an internet search. You don't have to like read a philosophy book to understand it, not, to call people out and bring that and manage the debate. I think the biggest problem is that where I try my best. And this is something I applaud Andrew for this. I don't know if you guys have noticed about Andrew. Andrew runs the debate. Like Andrew runs that debate. Like he is in control from the moment the moderator says, "Go ahead with your opening statement." At that moment, it's Andrew's debate. He controls the flow of information. He controls how that information is interpreted, and he controls even the tempo. For the most part, he controls it and he does that by, in his opening statement, he absolutely hammers home the points he wants to make, and puts the and he's researched his opponent, or he's debated his opponent before enough to know that, hey, If I debate Ticky Tack is going to come out and he's going to be very relaxed, he'll be very calm. He's going to present things in this kind of order. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is. This is what it's going to be. The same thing with Chris, right? It's going to be very, and there, there's not going to be a lot of positioning here where when you where maybe I would come out and say, I would interject a lot more feeling, a lot more emotion. This is preposterous. This is absurd that my opponent believes this, and I can't even. And Andrew is fucking excellent at that.
Well, I think what people, the reason why people have a difficulty arguing with Andrew is because they actually don't necessarily understand like Andrew's entire like worldview on certain things, because there's quite a few times where he actually would debate me on or challenge me on like a certain position, like let's say like taxes, like aren't lower taxes better, and don't you want like no taxes and stuff, because we're in a panel with a bunch of libertarians, and that's kind of like the status. But I know he's an authoritarian, so I called that out on him. It's like, wait, but you're an authoritarian. It's like you believe that the state's going to be like controlling a lot of the country, and doesn't that entail taxes? And he's like, yeah. He'll admit to it, and it's like it kind of balances the play field if you could also like call out some of his positions, and because he's always fighting an internal critique, he's trying to find a flaw in your own logic. But if you also challenge him on his understanding his position, then it kind of brings it back to a level playing field and kind of instead turns into a discussion more than a debate.
No, that's very true. But again, that's my point, is that he controls that debate, and it takes effort to pull him off of that. And when you do pull him off, he'll come right back to it. And that's really that's the example of, to me, that's the example of how a debate should be run, especially a blood sport or informal debate. You don't have most of the time, you're not going to have a moderator that has a fucking clue. And so, like, I do it now. I was it you, Ticky Tack, that was debating, and I had to pull the argument back into what we were actually talking about, because it started going like into some bullshit that was like off in space. I'm like, hey, that's cool, but we're arguing this today, so let's
Quite possibly. Sometimes I do dive into tangents.
I don't think it was. I think you were in the debate, but I think it was the other person that was pushing it out of bounds. But I do that. I as a moderator, because I see it. If you're going, there's a subject that we're debating, and people filibustering about, if we're talking about, is it better to, is it better to just turn a blind eye to the rabbits fucking in your backyard, or should you shoot them in the head? If that's what we're talking about, we shouldn't be talking about putting men on the moon, right? And why that? Okay, it's just So that's the as a moderator, I've always been, and I like to really try and be like super fair about everything. I don't like to show bias to any side or anything like that. And I think the worst thing is this idea that the moderator is just there to sit there to just kind of keep it in order. And I honestly don't care how inflammatory you get, as long as you're actually still debating and not, traversing the eternal ethos on some wild ass tangent.
Yeah.
And I have to pull you back into reality, which is what I think a moderator is supposed to do. The moderator is supposed to make sure that the debate focuses on the topics of the debate. Neither party is able to filibuster for an hour so that the debate comes down to 10 minutes of rhetoric, which I see a lot. I see a lot of it.
If you're there to moderate, right, and make sure order remains in the debate, avoiding tangents would kind of be a priority that should be focused on, right? So that's kind of just a good thing that you're doing in that sense.
Yeah, but I see a lot. I mean, like pretty much every debate I've seen. Like, as a matter of fact, some of the worst moderating I'd seen was the one where it was ticky tack and non-fawn and some Israeli guy, or Arab. I don't know. He might not have been Israeli. He could have been Arab. I don't know. Somebody from a foreign country, and and it was like the worst moderation I'd ever seen because the guy's like, the guy's sitting there talking about like, I think what was the original subject was tariffs, and this guy's like talking about like oil embargoes and shit. And I'm like, wait a minute, can we bring it back? Can we shrink the focus? And the moderator was just sitting there like, well, I mean, as long as you're not yelling at each other, I guess I think a lot of moderators think that as long as you're not like rage quitting and spurging off and that kind of thing, that it's all good. But yeah.
Yeah, well, that debate, I was just so well. The thing is that I prepared a lot. I prepared a lot for the debates,
Yeah.
but I overloaded myself. I completely overloaded myself with information, so I didn't get a lot of sleep. I went into that debate just already groggy, and I was just like, "Oh fuck all!" Already, I was already going into the debate just, out of losing stance.
You did look tired. I remember that. 999 comes in from Wrongful Rage. I agree with the grid, but I don't debate. I watch. Many people don't follow their own logic, or it turns into meta-ethical without understanding the difference in terms therein. See, this is something else that I prefer. My personal preference is to beat you with just simple facts. I just want to I want to expose the fact that you have no idea what you're talking about. I know everything about what I'm talking about, and you're an idiot, and that's why everybody should side with me. That's my preferred tactic. I think everybody wants that. Unfortunately, sometimes you run into people who think they're really, really fucking smart, and they have like 10,000 little examples of why they're right. And the
But that
best
never works.
huh?
That never works. It's also if you
Yeah,
make
but what it does is it bogs down the debate, and it makes them look smart, and it makes you look like you're just bored and don't know what the fuck's going on, and you've checked out. And so, in optics, the unfortunate thing is optics matter in a debate,
yeah.
right? Like if you look bored, if I look bored, it's because I believe that I need to look bored at that moment in time. Literally once the debate starts, everything I do is dictated by what I think is going to win. So
Yeah.
Another thing that people can improve on in the debate scene is don't feel bad conceding ground.
right.
Like
Oh, yeah.
it's every once in a while, concede ground because in a way it'll actually make you look better because it makes you look a little bit more honest in a situation.
Yeah, it
You know,
makes
you know what I love is I love when people use terms that they don't know what the fuck they mean, like gish galloping. Like that's a very specific set of things, gish galloping, an overload of knowledge, and in general, referring to a mass amount of data that you may or may not have read, so that your opponent cannot respond to it all, and you're just burying them in data or paperwork, right? But
Sometimes I'll fight it.
But people will literally say, "Well, he's gish galloping because the guy's rambling." Right? No, he's rambling. He's an idiot.
Yeah,
He's
well,
not gish galloping. He's
yeah,
rambling.
that's spurging.
He's talked about the same thing for 20 minutes, but he hasn't actually. There's not 100 things that he's mentioned in there to contend with. Destiny does that a lot. Destiny will literally sit there and say, "Well, you're gish galloping," and I've literally heard Andrew say, "That's not gish galloping. I'm simply making my point clearly."
Yeah.
Like I gave you 5 examples of the same thing that's not gish galloping.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a difference between gish galloping, spurging, and then what's the other one? It's not filibustering, there's another one. There's three, and people usually mix them up.
I know people
Um,
use ad hom when there is an ad hom.
Right. Oh, I
But
love that when they do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ad hom, and I'm like, calling someone stupid when they're being stupid is not an ad hom attack. Like,
yeah,
or
but
asking, are you stupid? Are you an idiot? That I actually really want an answer to that question because it helps me out. You know
but
what I'm
it,
saying?
but
It's
I could
obfuscating.
yeah.
Obfuscate. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So I think there is one particular instance where I think you could consider an insult an ad hom. And it's if somebody immediately starts into the debate with just insults.
Yes. Well,
Because
that is the definition, right?
yeah,
It's ad hom is without the actual argument. It's just the insult.
uh, yeah, it's
No
reducing your
death.
credibility with insults essentially. Um, Yeah, and I've noticed people will kind of do that is that they'll immediately enter into debate without fully fleshing out a claim by calling you like stupid and an idiot. And it's like that's an ad hom. It's like you can't really say that until you've tried to demonstrate your claim or at least elaborate on your claim based off questions and then
That's
fall
why
through.
you always pose it as a question. Are you stupid? Are you an idiot? Why don't you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Do I need to speak
Do
Swahili?
you understand the words coming out of my mouth?
Right? And it's just a matter of phrasing. So it is what it is. I mean, I understand that people don't. Well, the problem is, old Joe. The problem is most people don't take the time to do more than a surface level interpretation of any of these concepts, and so you'll get people who are like, "Oh, you're Gishka. Oh, you're ad hom. Oh, you're whatever," and when they have no idea if you are or not. But worse is that people that are being called that don't know either, so they accept the fact that, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gish galloping, or oh yeah, that was an ad hom. I'm sorry, or whatever. I'm like, no, I don't. No, I will fight if somebody calls me out. You better be right because I'm going to fight you on it. And I would often ask, how is that? How is that gish galloping? I literally just repeated the same thing 5 times. That's not 5 different points. It's just
Yeah.
one point for you to address. So, yeah, that's interesting, Tiki Tack. I like where your head's at on that.
Something I don't know, Tiki Tak, if you'll agree with us. Something I've seen quite a lot too is obviously, Greg, you've kind of mentioned it tonight. Is the appeal to authority fallacy is ridiculous with most people. And then a big thing is straw manning other people's arguments. This seems to be used as a tactic and seen as I'm a good debater. But it just becomes people just straw man your argument or misrepresent your argument and then say, you said this, when it's like, I did not say that at all. And
Yeah,
it seems to think that's a good way to debate.
definitely
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's that the thing is that I could see somebody making a straw man argument and thinking that they're trying to reduce down your claim under good faith, but if they constantly do it over and over again, just repeat the straw man after you've reiterated, like, no, that is not my position. But how you could essentially catch them is if they keep doing that, ask them to steel man the position. And if they just repeat their straw man, then they're bad faith. If they try to elaborate, well, then there's potential for you to understand it or correct them. And what was the other one? Appeal to authority. I think what people are misunderstanding is that statistics alone are not an appeal to authority. You could point to statistics to support your claim, but if you go to a study, like a meta-analysis that says, oh, we reviewed all these different statistics and we have determined that this is the outcome of X scenario, that's an appeal to authority. Because when it comes to science, science is just observation. It just observes and documents what it observes. The actual like claims is what gets into the theory of it all. It's when you're reading these meta analysis and the conclusions they come up with, most of the time it's just a theory by just some person who published a study. So there's your authority.
Yeah, well, it's the observer making a conclusion, right?
Yeah.
Well, so the interesting thing here, and I agree with all that Tiki Tac just said, but if you're citing a study, like let's just take the Furby the other night. I have all these studies that show that this is right, that I'm right, that this is the way it is, or this is the way it should be. That is an appeal to authority because you're saying that those studies are the authority.
They are the right numbers.
They are, they are. Well, and more than that, that they are the authority. And the big problem with that is that if there are studies from the FBI is in fact the authority. So if the FBI says this is the way it is or this is the way it should be, okay, fine.
Yeah, but that's why, Grid, I knew that was going to happen specifically with Mel. So that's why.
Oh, yeah, you can see that coming 10 miles out.
Yeah, but that's why specifically in that, that's one thing I know I did was I just didn't. I engaged once on the statistics, but most of the night I was just like, I'm not even doing this. Let's just talk about like logically.
Yeah.
What do you think about this question? And then what happens? I ask the question, and then spurg, tangent. It didn't want to address the questions. And that's what I knew would piss it off ultimately. If I engaged with it on the data, that's what it wanted me to do.
Well, yeah, and so this is where it's helpful to take it meta, right? And just start examining the worldview. So, you could be like, Furby, in your worldview, then, why is it less safe? How do guns make us less safe?
Well, that's what I did, Grid, and that's when I engaged on the female argument in that sense, where I was kind of like trying to take
I remember I had a screen, so I was late.
Yeah, so that's why when I try to take it to like Furby's worldview, to be like, well, it's if you're all feminism and women should be equal, that's the equalizer, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is the only true force equalizer. So I try to engage on that level, but that also didn't work. I gave it some like charitable rope to have a good discussion, but it chose not to. So I was like, all right.
Yeah, I find that, and Andrew has really keyed me in on this. I have found that it's a lot easier to rather than engage point by point, or especially if you understand the points they're going to make. If you can watch a debate and see that, oh yeah, you know what's going to happen is they're going to bring up this study, they're going to bring up that study, they're going to bring up 10 more studies, and if you can understand that going in, and you can push the debate in a direction to where you can just go into the worldview. Yeah. And the worldview itself may be problematic, right? Like, well, my worldview is from this weird hippie, peace, free love, whatever. If you can reduce it down, then you beat the argument by beating the worldview, and you don't get drugged through the mud. And Andrew does this a lot. And you can see the rage in people's faces because what they want to say is, we're supposed to be debating abortion, or we're supposed to be debating whatever. And Andrew's over here talking about my worldview and crushing me, right?
Yeah, it's because they would make the claim, you would say, they would say, no, it's bad to not give a woman a choice. And then Andrew would say, well, how do we define bad? And then they, no, you're not allowed to do this. It's like, no, I don't even grant you bad. What's bad?
Right.
Now we delve into your worldview. From what do you see as bad? And that's
and then he'll do an internal critique of their worldview and crush their soul.
Yeah,
and that's a beautiful thing to watch. I had not seen that done in such. So Andrew's uniquely adopted the internal critique and examination of worldview into this soul crushing technique to use in blood sport, and it's super effective once you understand. I'm still working. I don't actually understand it that well, but I'm getting there. I've actually had a debate with Andrew, informal, just off the cuff, and did okay. It's and one of the things that Andrew really does is he'll ask absolutely the most preposterous hypotheticals.
I know he's done that to all of us, Grid.
And
he did the same debate with you and me in the same week, and got us both with a difficult one.
Which one was it? It was because the only time I debated Andrew was over the
forced vaccination, Grid.
Yeah, paternity test. It was a paternity test, forced paternity test. And he was saying, well, if you had this, if you knew that if there was a deadly virus, and that if everyone on the planet was not inoculated with this, if there was one holdout group like the Amish that did not want to get the, take this pill or this injection or whatever.
Yeah.
Would you force them? And I said, no, I would not force them. It's wrong to force people.
Yeah.
And he's like, so you'd let the entire world die? And I'm like, I guess so, because I'm not going to force people to.
Yeah. So he used the disease thing on you, and then he refined it, because then what happened with me was should the government mandate vaccines? And his position then, he said yes. And I was like, there's no way. How is he going to pull this off? And then he threw at me with the what if it was a cure to not be a PDF file. And I was like, fuck you. Why would you do that to me? Because I was like, damn it.
Well, he's just, what he does is that you're, the problem comes is that you have, what he does is he puts you to this logic test, and your logic fails, right?
Yeah, but the problem is that
never fails, Grid, ever. He even said it. My logic never, ever, 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 ever fails. I don't know what is the skirt holding with men too. What is the skirt holding of a man? Like, I was just listening to Project VOD.
Imperious, hold on 1 second. Hello, Grumple. How's it going, sir?
Good evening, gentlemen. Yes, also
your mic is like super hot. I have you.
Oh, hang on.
I got it. I got you.
I got the Go XLR replacement in, so I'm actually using. It's not just a prop anymore. I'm actually using my real mic again.
Gotcha.
I turned it down a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. You were like fucking hot.
Yeah, that's the idea, because when you're streaming, especially, like, they can always turn the volume down, but if you're not loud enough, then like cleanly loud enough, then they can't turn it up anymore. Yeah. So there is a cure for the PDF files, and they usually cost between like 25 and
cents.
Like
I know it cost me $20. $20. Couple pieces of wood, some nails. I'm good.
That's way more expensive than, like, I don't know, 30 cents. I mean, with Biden.
Yeah, but you gotta make it last. You gotta make it last, though. I want it to be drawn out. I don't want.
I mean, you could use a few and put them in certain places. Just saying. I'm not saying necessarily what I'm talking about right now. Just, figure it out.
I got you. Yeah. I'm there with you, man. I understand.
Grid, by the way, I need a hug, bud. You're looking very you're looking huggable tonight, Grid.
I'll go tell my wife that I need a hug.
Imperius called you cuddly. How does that make you
I
feel?
know.
He looks
I
like
guess
he's in
he
kind of
is.
like a relaxed robe or something, Grid.
He must be drinking the Southern Comfort.
I don't drink at all.
You're just
No,
smoking.
I'm talking
jacket.
about
Doesn't
Imperius.
Oh yeah, Imperius is drinking hardcore. I don't know. He's on like something.
No. I'm just saying he's in like one of those like old robe shirts. You know what I mean? Those are gangster. Now all you need is a cigar grid.
This is a
It's like a
This
fleece.
is
a hoodie.
isn't it?
this is a
Yeah. Oh,
this
is it?
not a
Oh,
robe.
okay. I can't quite
Yeah, it's
see it.
like
It
a
looked like
sports
a
jacket.
nice comfy
No,
like.
it's
Okay,
a-
well, I was gonna say you could. I thought you were more high class than that, Grid. I was saying so you need a cigar and then a fireplace. You would have been all set.
But he
Grid.
doesn't smoke.
It's almost
all
like
the
it's like a
some
t-shirt.
some Jack Daniels, triple age whiskey, 50 years or so.
Grid,
Smoking
smoking
indoors
is
like a
good for
common
you.
Frenchman.
Grid,
Yeah.
by the way, smoking is good for you and it raises your testosterone.
Dude, what is life worth living if you're not going to enjoy it a little bit? You're not here to just stay here forever and not do anything. Like, what is this? Like, people just go, I want to live forever. For what? To not do anything or sit in a house all day? What the hell's going on here?
Sitting is racist.
That's
Chairs
right.
are the
Yeah.
inventions of the colonizers. Don't you know?
Yep.
No, I got the new racist card. Dark mode is racist.
Dark
What?
mode. Uh-oh.
Really?
Oh, snap.
Yeah, light mode, dark mode themes, unlike everything.
Yeah.
Dark mode is racist.
Is that like Jimmy Kimmel
literally
blackface?
using what is it?
Oh, what a
Dark
Grid.
reader.
What about
I'm just trying to make it
Keep
trendy.
my
Hey,
screen from
Tiggy Tack, what
deflecting.
about the game Perfect Dark? Oh my god. That's problematic today.
It can't
That's
be racist.
problematic.
It's too good of a game to be racist.
How about this? I found one today on my stream where we looked at it. Apparently now they've at the bottom of the ocean found dark oxygen. And I was like, dude, seriously, now we have dark oxygen? And a beautiful comment came in the
That
chat.
checks out.
Make oxygen white again. I was like, that was
Oh, that's
that
beautiful.
was
That's beautiful.
just
Missed
like,
opportunity
whoa.
to say doxygen.
yeah.
Well,
So anyway, back to the
Grid-
actual subject of tonight's little discussion.
Well, Grid, I wanted to say one thing. Did
Yeah,
you
go.
by a chance look at CT's show for tomorrow? But
No, what's he got? What's
Sup,
up?
Kobe?
it's what reparations through land. Which minority group deserves Greenland? Now, Grid, and in the poll. Now, I don't know if you know, but right now, CT, we're on an arc where we're trying not to talk about the B word, the blats. No blats, no talking about the blats, no conversation discussing blats or including blats.
Who's doing
I
And
that?
like bats.
CT.
Well, and because we're on
Oh,
but you know what he's doing. He's and so he creates a poll, and the main poll is which of these minority groups deserve Greenland?
Irish.
Obviously.
No. It's
Irish
Indian.
people.
It's Indian, Japanese, Jewish, and Australian, I think, or something
Why the
like
fuck would
that.
the Australians deserve anything?
No, but that's the
They
point.
got a whole continent.
We're trying to.
Hey,
We're,
now going back to my debate topic because I don't care about this. CT.
No,
I'll
great.
listen to CT's show tomorrow. So Grumple, what you were on panel at the very end. I don't know how much of the show you saw. What was your impression of the debate the other night?
Oh, where it
Michael
was.
came in at the
I
end,
think
dude.
you,
He
me, and
only called the
Clover,
panel.
and Chris, and the peers.
Oh yeah,
and-
you didn't actually see the entire
Kirby.
debate, right?
no.
Oh, okay, never mind. Never mind. My bad.
But Grid, that show that you're on now, who runs it actually?
Which one?
The one you were on, was it Monday? I think
Oh,
it's
Prime.
Monday.
Yeah, the
That's
Reverie.
the one, is that the one we're discussing?
Prime
Is that the
Kai.
debate we're discussing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's,
that's
a, he's a Twitch guy. He's from my neighborhood.
Prime Kai's.
Now, it was just the way they run it is really interesting. I mean, I agree.
Well, they get
Like,
run is what they get.
yeah, well, they don't, like, the thing is they set, it's like they set up like the dumbest people to get run over the quickest. You know what I mean?
Well, so let me tell
That's
you
the
how.
same
Let me
people.
tell you how Prime looked at it. Like what he told me in person, or not in person, but on the on a private interview chat. when he decided whether or not I could be a part of their little club. Is first of all, he said they had a problem getting conservatives to come on the show, and I'm like, really? Interesting. I have a
Yeah,
problem.
they usually get canceled on Twitch.
I have a
or
problem
used to
getting
be anyway.
leftist. And so since I've been on there, well, first of all, I don't think the conservatives were or the libertarians were taking L's anyway, but definitely since I've been on there, we've taken no L's, none. So the idea is that there's two. So there's typically 9 people on the panel. There will be 2 libertarians, 2 conservatives, 2, I guess what you would consider progressives, and 2 like full-on leftists. Which means that you have 4 leftists versus 4
And
right.
that's new for him.
Who's the chick, Grid?
Which chick? There's a couple different ones.
You're probably
The
thinking
really
of Ghosty.
shilly one, the real one with the real bad voice. There's one that has the one really
Katya.
Yeah. Like the Eastern European kind of one, right?
Yeah, I think
Katya is always a Russian stripper. It's
yeah, and
always
they're
a
super
Russian stripper.
masculine
Any
and
woman named
stuff.
Katya.
She's
I'm telling you.
so I think she's just really young and stupid, and because she's literally like a socialist, and every time you get anywhere near socialism, she absolutely is it's absolutely just ridiculous. And so I don't know, man. So sociologic is supposed to be progressive. He claims to be centrist. I don't know what he is. He typically leans hardcore left. I think Lactoid is a true centrist libertarian guy.
He's also a lawyer, like an IRL.
And he's a lawyer. Yeah, he's like a legit lawyer.
He's a libertarian lawyer.
Yeah, and
I'm mod for him too.
He's you mod for him.
Guy. Yeah, I'm a mod for like 20 I'm for over 20 channels on Twitch. Just people make me a mod.
So, and then you have what's his name?
Been around for a while.
You have Scott Fabian Liberty. He is the libertarian, and
he's the final boss, ANCAP.
He is actually the final boss. He is and honestly, he and I agree so much that I don't think he's actually. I tell him all the time he's not libertarian. Like he's just.
I just have a problem with libertarianism in general, in principle, because I am a firm believer that the world is an imposition of will, and will is only backed up and really directed by justification, and
violence.
Well, I mean, the will to enact violence still has to have a justification.
Hey, what's up, John Mosman? How are you? And then you have, so who's the other guy? So Gibbs, Admiral Gibbs, who is a conservative, I guess, but he's almost like a fucking conservative, almost anarchist, right? Like he's right there on the.
He's like a neocon, but like a Texas flavor of. He's also Texan.
Yeah,
he's closer to Austin, I think. He also, I believe, has 2 doctorates, but he's an Aggie. So like,
I think he's
a smart guy. He's big on putting on a show.
You can tell because he calls the leftist on their crap every time. And then you have me, the actual conservative. And what's interesting that I think for the first couple of shows they tried to like trap me into into being like pulling out the religion card to so that they could kind of destroy that part of my worldview. But I almost never argue from a religious standpoint. So then you have me, and you have Doobie, who is a leftist. He is a leftist schmuck. He whines about fucking everything. He absolutely is just. He's basically. He might actually be female. And
fun fact: Doobie, the frog avatar guy.
Yeah,
he has, I think, at least in the Twitch ball space, he has the biggest. He has like 15,000 people on. It's just the politics Discord. That's his. He owns it. Like 15,000. You can go in there. There's like channels with
how does
15 people in them, multiple people in them.
Do that, debating. And he never actually shows his face.
No idea. I don't know how that works.
It's like Grid. It's like, how did I get onto Matt Dillagunty's show and call him a ball licker on his show? There, you just have there's certain powers that people have. I just have certain powers of persuasion, Grid.
Dude, Doobie is dumb as fuck, though.
Like, there's idiot savants out there, Grid.
There's no savant. It's just idiot.
Grid. If he wasn't doing it, I mean, where would he be?
It is Twitch. I will say that it is Twitch. So maybe maybe he just looks the right balls. But I don't know, man. Like all of his takes are absolutely stupid and easily refuted, easily defeated. It's
but
just,
I mean, Grid, look at every celebrity in the world. I mean,
yeah, but but they have they show their faces and shit. So I mean, I don't care. It's just
not always. I mean, Grid. Look, remember Howard? Remember Howard Stern? Remember the callers? Like, remember Jeff the Drunk? Remember High Pitch Eric? I remember. See, I was a big Howard fan back. They had no face. They were just callers that would call.
Yeah, but that was
Howard Stern.
That was still better than what Doobie's doing. I don't know. Doobie's weird.
I mean, look at me, Grid. I go on dozens
he's kind of a loser.
And I never show it.
And I treat him like it must really hurt his feelings that I treat him like a fucking loser. So
it does. It makes it even funnier.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what's the other thing? Who's the other guy? Well, no, then we get out of guys. And then typically you'll have Katya on.
Corey Campbell.
Huh?
Corey Campbell's usually on.
And Corey Campbell, yeah, those are the other. They round out the field. Corey Campbell is he's Canadian. He's a biologist of some kind, and he's bi, which means he's gay. And
there's no bi, Grid. Don't let me unleash this debate on you. There is no bi. There's only gay.
No bi, it's just gay.
If you take
just
dick,
gay. If you
would
play with a penis, you're gay, bro.
Yeah,
just
gay.
No in between.
Remember, Grid. Girls are the gayest. They love dick, dude. They're the gayest ones, man.
But at any rate, so and then Katya, I think, is just young and stupid and socialist. That's the mix that I think you have going on there.
You're redundant there, Grid.
Yeah. Yeah.
No hate, no biggie. Just FYI. That was
Grid. Well, I was disappointed. I thought there'd be an influx of new stupid chicks going and trying to debate, Grid, and there isn't, Grid.
That would be nice. But they have better things to do, Imperious, like put on makeup and look pretty.
Well, ever since
you just don't know what it's like to look pretty.
Yeah.
Ever since Destiny went back his direction, it's fallen out. Hey, Raging Tomato is in the house. How are you?
Speaking of chicks, here we go. I just
saw the goals.
Speak of the devil, Grid.
Imperious loves Sarah. They're like,
I don't hate her. I'm just
I think Imperious has a crush.
I also like Sarah.
No, she went passive aggressive on me, and I'm just like
debates.
She has to. If you're going to say be just aggressive, just hate me. Don't be passive aggressive. Don't ask for $100.
No,
just ban me because you hate me. Just ban me because you hate me. Don't ask for. I wipe my ass with 100. Just if you're going to ban me for a time,
what a waste of
do
money.
it because you hate me.
I mean, you got to clean it after that. I mean, why?
No, I just throw it away. That's 100. Not big deal.
So the
why don't you give donos to all of the channels you come in?
Hey,
yeah, seriously.
I do.
I don't care about this. So Grumple, did you catch when I came on the other night onto Sarah's stream for the after debate.
Exactly. We need Sarah here.
Did
You guys have been discussing.
Sarah can
the
come
debate.
up. We'll drop Simperius if we have to, but
Usually
It's
you're on
$100 to
panels.
drop me, Grid. It's 100 to drop me.
no, it's
On
not.
panels, you're usually on before me because I got to get my kids in bed and
Yeah.
work and stuff.
I came up and I had my she's snuggling in bed. That's so cute. I had when I came on, I had my armor on with the holster, the chest placard, and my bump helmet with comms. So I came on to talk about the gun stuff. It was
that was cool, Gred. Because I was on another screen when you came
that's
in.
right, you did.
And I just heard everyone, and I was like, wait, I need to see what Gred's busy doing.
Yeah,
that was good. I like that.
Yeah, that's it was just I still have the bump helmet's actually the one that I wear in the airplane, because it it's got comms and it plugs in. Plus, if you roll one of my airplanes over, they have bubble canopies, and so your head will hurt. So, helmets are important. But
Grid, did you wear a helmet when you were a kid riding the bike? I never did, Grid.
I never did, man. I never did.
Nah.
Well, and when we started doing mountain biking, we wore just those black ones that only covered kind of the top of the head. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
Grid? Like
the ones that were just like
the back and kind of the top.
a
You know what I mean?
half shell.
Yeah.
Basically foam, yeah.
Oh, Grid and I are around the same age, and like growing up in the '80s. Yeah, it was like helmets.
If I saw a kid wearing a helmet that wasn't actually, so I did wear a helmet when I was racing, and because that was the rules, and I wore a helmet if I was doing like flatland or ramps on concrete, because concrete hurts.
Yeah.
But other than that, I did not wear a helmet where I wore bike. And now it's like every kid, half the kids I see now have fucking helmets on. It's very funny.
Gred,
It's not like elbow pads. These kids wear elbow pads now too.
Bro,
Grid. This makes me sick.
I was a fucking street skater. All you did if you were kind of a pussy is you put on long socks and you
Hey,
wear
it's
a
John
beanie.
Mosman. How are you, sir?
How's it going, guys?
Good evening.
Sport brand. I did BMX. I did BMX freestyle specifically. I did race. I started out racing, and I did okay. And then I went to flat. I started out. I went from. I was weird because I went from dirt track racing at at Dixieland and whatnot, BMX racing. I went from that to flatland, which was just doing tricks, basically in parking lots and shit. And then we built a ramp, and then I did ramp tricks, aerials. Plumpy, you were a racing state champion. Awesome, dude. Can we get a gag for Imperius? I can drop him down. He's been
No. Hold on. I got a question regarding that. Grid. Was there a breakup that I haven't been aware of with Are We Not Met and Raging Patriot, or what's going on here? I'm out of the loop. I'm not in the high school circles anymore.
I'm not. I don't pay attention to it. Are We Not Men is no longer a mod here, and so he doesn't come around as much.
Okay. So there is trouble in paradise. Okay. All right. I was just wondering. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I can't keep track of none of this shit. Every time I hear something's going on, I'm like, I don't
really
care.
pay any attention to it.
I don't care.
Yeah, this is why my life's
none of
drama
this.
free. I just don't remember.
Nah, that's why I've built my channel on no
Head
drama.
injuries are great.
Well, Sarah can come sit on me if she wants to gag me. That would be fine.
Like ball gag or
Yeah, that's actually Tomato said it would be
Show
more
my
fun if
face,
you gave
it's
him a gag ball. I don't have one, but yeah.
Yeah.
ZD Den
But-
says, of course you were a BMXer, classic 80s hottie. Yeah, I actually,
I was in the 90s, so we had more of the skateboarding. I was in the.
I was in the
Tony
90s.
Hawk.
He was in the 90s too.
Yeah,
I'm
it was-
90s
Rad
I'm
was
90s
my
too.
jam. I loved that movie. I actually, no, it's all right. I'm not going to say anything.
Imperius, did you wear Jenkos ever?
Jinko
No.
jeans.
No.
You definitely
Out of
wore
curiosity,
Jinko jeans.
I would expect, like, I get the impression that you wore Jenkos.
No, it was mostly like when I was God in the '90s. Jeez, I don't even remember what name brand jeans.
No, just at any point
Did you
ever.
wear jorts?
Dude, I mean,
wore
mostly like
jorts.
True Religions and stuff was what we wore. I mean, that was kind of.
Aren't those really
you wore
light?
jorts, bro. Like 3/4. You wore like 3/4 jorts.
No, I never. No, I mean, that's the thing. It was mostly like True Religions or.
No, he cut him into a thong.
Yeah, sure, yeah, for sure. Hey, I'll tell you what, dude. I'm walking like that. I was able to get lift and separation. The girls really liked it, dude.
What of your breasts?
I don't. Yeah, we don't need. I don't really want to hear about man boobies. So
no, it was about your balls, dude. I was talking about.
So when I was coming through BMX, when I was going through the BMX scene, I guess I actually did pretty well. I wasn't like the best, but I did pretty well. Mainly because they didn't really care if I got hurt very much. It wasn't that big a deal.
Hey, Grid,
You're trained by Travis Chippers at Camp ABA. Oh, cool, man! In the early '90s, yeah, man. Like kind of my hero is this guy Pistol Pete Lonkarevich, and he rode for Haro, and he was kind of like my hero, and then I think he went to Hutch after that, and I liked R.L. Osborne too. He was a pretty good kid or dude. He was older than me, but I rode a red line. I started out on a red line. I went to Haro. I had a dyno for a little while. Well, actually, no, I misspoke. I had a dyno pro. I had a dyno, and then I had the Cycle Pro, and then what was the other one? It wasn't a Haro. It was I can't remember.
Hey,
but
Greg, you remember that movie from the '80s with a 16-year-old Nicole Kidman called BMX Bandits that came out of Australia?
No, but I feel like I'm going to have to look it up.
You're going to have to, yeah.
Yeah. I love the movie Rad with Lori Loughlin.
Uh-huh.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it's all about these kids with their BMX bikes in Australia, and they basically steal a bunch of money from these drug dealers, and and then of course it's got some cool stuff at the end. But yeah, it was like one of her first movies actually. So
John Deadman, you're not wrong. If it has to do with doing stupid stuff fast.
Well, Grid, you gotta do that Baja 1000 then, Grid.
I have friends that have done it. I have prepared a car for that.
I had a buddy do that. I had a buddy do that like 10 years ago. Pretty.
We have. I've done. I did an off-road truck for a guy. I did a jet-powered dragster for a guy. That was cool. I did the welding on the turbine. I haven't done a lot of motorcycle racing stuff because a lot of guys just kind of do it themselves. So I never did much with that stuff. Done all sorts of drag cars, all sorts of road race cars, vintage racing. And yeah, pretty much, man. If it, did rally cars for a while, pretty much. You had a Diamondback. That's cool, man.
Grid, you do any slave running?
Huh? What?
You ever, just transport slaves across borders?
Grid? I'm not that old, bro.
Oh, okay.
I know I look that old, but
you are pretty old, Grid. So I just thought, you're bringing them back, back and forth, just
No, I never. No.
That's why I know. I mean, it's a legitimate business, Grid. It's not a big deal.
Canada. I had I had a bunch of stuff. ZD Den. My wife actually bought, I don't know why, but she actually bought the Drakkar gift set for, I guess for me for Christmas.
That's
I'm like, I don't wear that
example.
stuff. That's horrible. And hey, look at that. Look at man's got a bike. So the Drakkar is like horrible to me now, but it's perfect for my son. And I told my wife that I would give it to my son, and because I actually wore polo when I was that age, but Drakkar was a close second.
Grid, when I was young, I used to just love wearing sports jerseys. I had a bunch of football jerseys, basketball jerseys, baseball jerseys. Like I had a Michael,
So,
like a.
I can't resist asking, is that
What?
why everyone thinks you're gay?
What are you talking about?
Dude,
Sports
I
jerseys were
I
awesome
never
in the
wore
90s.
sports jerseys, man.
In
Like
the 90s, that was the shit, Grid.
Yeah, fortunately I was too old then.
Grid, you're an old man. You're an old fart,
I
Grid. You
am.
don't know what's cool anymore.
I wore a
All
hockey
right.
jersey when I was playing hockey, but that was
Dude, if you didn't have a Jordan,
maybe if you're going to a game,
if you didn't have a
spectator,
if you didn't have a
then, yeah.
Jordan jersey in the 90s, man, you weren't anything, dude. I'm telling you. I remember every kid at recess had like a jersey on, dude. They were playing with.
I didn't. I hated the Bulls and Jordan. I mean, he's the greatest of all time.
Do you know what it was when I was a kid?
Thank you,
my freshman year, I remember the shirts that everybody wore, or the clothing everybody wore, was Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Jerseys. I mean, I think there were even jeans, T-shirts, all of it. It's fucking hilarious.
Grid, when you were talking now, I was like, let me just show you. So I had that guy since I was 17.
What is that?
It's a Harrow.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a Harrow. I don't have the pegs on. But my stepdad, as a Christmas present, one year they came to visit me. He's like, hey, there's your gift. We didn't wrap it. I was like, what? I got a bicycle at like, I think 30 from my stepdad, and he's like, but look which bike it is. And it was my old BMX, perfectly refurbished. He had the whole thing refurbished for me. So I'm riding the same bike I did when I was 17.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Did you ever I'm going to really date myself age-wise here. Have you guys ever seen Woody Itzon's solid gold Hutch Trick Star?
No.
It's not solid gold, it's gold-plated, but it's parts of it are solid gold. It was they actually had it made just for him. There's one, and it's a gold Hutch. You can look it up on the internet. It's pretty famous still, but that was like, I remember when the first time I saw that in a magazine in the grocery store, and it was cool. It was really cool. Yeah, I did all that stuff. I raced. I mean, I'll race almost any. I really wanted to race motorized skiffs, outboard skiffs, which is very dangerous.
Hey, Grid,
you know what?
like yo-yos?
Jeremy Clarkson says about
old,
bicycles, right? Oh, I'm Imperious. You go ahead.
Yeah, Grid, did you like yo-yos when you grew up? Was that something?
You know, I never really got into them that much. But
what about like Pogs?
What?
You like
Pogs is a little bit too after his time. That was my.
Was that? Because I remember that was like right before me, like my brothers, like right before me.
That was my time. Imperious was Pog. Everybody, I mean, I can't even tell you how many.
There you go. Yeah, Pogs. There you go. Yeah. That's the Smashers or whatever. Right? Oh, there's a yo-yo. Yeah, see, he's got a see. Yeah, like I remember, like, see, Grid. What's another? What's something else? Grid. Grid's just a little like. He's a little older than cool. He can't be cool anymore. He's just too old to be cool. So I'm trying to think of
how old is he?
He's like 50. I think like 50. He's like 48, 50, something like that.
Is this your brother or whatever? I'm trying to figure out who you're talking about.
I'm 53.
Oh, great. I'm talking about. Okay, so he's 53. Yeah. See, he's like in that middle lost generation. Like, you know, they are. They're kind of the fit. They are.
No, that's still Gen X.
Generation X.
Yeah, I'm Gen X. I am literally the coolest of the cool. I mean, in fact, I'm one of the first Gen X.
The Gen Xers, not.
Yeah, I'm on the tail side of the Gen X.
The 90s kids were the coolest.
We're the latchkey children, you know, the feral ones.
Yeah, the 90s kids are the coolest.
It really was, too, man. Like, that's not even a lie, dude. I was talking to my wife about it the other day.
I think the 90s we had it the best, Grid. If I was going to take a time to grow up, the 90s was the shit, Grid. I really think so. I you know, it was just a time when
you scalawag. The summers of 87 to 88, I wore a Heineken t-shirt over my bathing suit. It said on the back, "Grab a Heine." I swear my mother got rid of it in her. You minx.
Whoa. See, these girls, I'm telling you, Grid,
These girls, they're flaunting it out there, Grid.
88. That's
Grid. They want you to just take them against the wall, Grid. That's what they want, Grid. They're just asking for it, you know.
Don't make it weird, Imperius.
No, it just is. They love it.
You know what, Imperius? There was a time when I would have agreed with that. However, I believe now that is being beat out of them from such an early age that no, I don't believe they.
I get it. I think it's beat out of them in a way where they don't like to talk about it as much anymore. But they still want it. They no grid. It's called the walk of shame for a reason.
Yeah.
And they know it. And they want you to, like, it's just a shit test. The more they go, oh, we don't want it, the more they really do. Grid, you have kids. What they're desperately screaming for, just like a kid in the aisle screaming, pouting about something. They want to be put under control, and they don't know how to communicate it. So they
I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, I would have at one point in time. I would have 100% said, yeah. The problem is, I think that society has
Grid. I have yet to meet. I've been with enough women, and I have yet to be with one that hasn't asked me to be rough with them or to, abuse them in certain ways.
Well, wait, so you listened to a woman and did what she said? What a cuck.
Here we go.
Well, before I punch him in the face, I usually, they'll usually ask me first before I elbow him.
At this point, he's been in enough trouble. He gets it on video.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 6 or 7 ex-wives. I mean, I can't, be out there doing that.
Yeah, you don't know how many?
So Imperius, which is your favorite ex-wife? Is it your black ex-wife, your Thai ex-wife,
well,
Colombian
that's
ex-wife?
You're asking me to choose
Your
between my favorite
ex-wife.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Mr. E would have been my favorite, but I think the black ones are fun because they're entertaining. They always do keep you on your toes. But a tan Asian is really good. I do like my Middle Eastern ones. The Middle Eastern, there's something about, conquering a Muslim that's always really good. The blondes, now the problem I have with the blondes, though, they have to be tan. If they're blonde and they're pale, it makes them look too pale. And that I don't like. I don't like
actually,
pale.
Blonde pale women are fucking translucent like jellyfish. You can see their veins.
Yeah.
It's
I'm not
weird.
about the I like the California blonde.
I actually ran across this. I was out the other day with my wife and a couple of our friends, and we actually ran into this Icelandic girl.
Ooh.
And I thought Teriak was white.
It's like a Casper or what?
It's a whole other kind of white.
Like the other, it's like ridiculous white. And I couldn't understand a word this girl was saying.
Imagine her cat's probably like a red snapper against her or something. Grid. I mean, it probably.
I don't know. All I know is I don't know that she had. I didn't. It's just someone that we met. But all I know is when I actually. It was weird because I hadn't actually met anyone from Iceland before, and but we were on campus for my kid takes my youngest is doing soccer at on campus, and so on the college campus, and so the girl working the counter was Icelandic, and white, like she made the gloss white countertop look not white. And so anyway, really interesting because and I'm not usually, I don't even usually notice, but it was like shocking, and I couldn't understand a word she said.
Well,
I literally had to repeat her. I had to ask her to repeat herself.
I'm going to make an exit.
Nobody can.
Yeah. So
I'm
just going to
ticky tack. We're about to wrap up anyway. I turned into a pumpkin at 11, and we're right about there. So
yeah, and before I leave, for everybody who's in the chat, just make sure to send out a super chat. Even if it's just a few dollars, it really supports the stream.
Thank you. I'm really bad.
Have a great night, everyone.
And slap that like button. Have a great night, Ticky Tack. You're always sexy.
Oh, you're. I love you.
You're there, man.
This guy.
All right, if you guys were alive, this movie will make you feel old because I just realized that this upcoming week, Street Fighter will turn 40 years old.
Oh yeah,
40 years old.
The
no, it's not.
I remember the
speech, dude.
original Mortal Kombat.
No,
Wait,
the
That was a
speech,
good
dude.
Street Fighter
movie. That was a
movie?
good movie.
Yeah, the Street Fighter movie turns like
The movie,
No,
oh,
it's not
Jean-Claude
40.
Van Damme,
I think
dude.
it's over 40 years old.
I think that was Raul Julia. The movie. I think he
Raul
died.
Julia,
during
yeah, it was his
recording
and
that.
last
fucking
movie.
Kylie Minogue, bro.
Well,
And Kylie Minogue.
yeah,
was
Kylie
in that
Minogue.
shit.
Well, dude, he did it because his kids loved the game, and he did it as like a last wish for them. He did it as like because he was dying of colon cancer at the time when he was doing the movie.
Who?
Raul Julia.
Oh,
Remember, he had
I
like
think
the,
he was
the
M.
best
Bison.
speech.
yeah,
He
it
had
was
the
M.
best
Bison,
speech
yeah.
in movie
I
history
never
about
saw
like.
it.
Yeah, he had the best speech in movie history. Like the whole like the
Yeah.
future is bison. That was like the best speech in movie history.
That was legit. But that seems like something Imperius would remember.
Oh
But
my god, it was like
Imperious
it's what
will
I
like
mowed my
this,
life
some
around.
wacko evil
turns out
villain
40 years
delivering his fucking
I could just I
manifesto.
wanted
Good
to
job,
make
dude.
I could just imagine his complex with that little skull face, just kind of like my little PFP face, you know?
I remember I worked in, because I spent my college years working in movie theaters, and
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I kid you not that I remember hearing they had a Street Fighter game, and it would just run the same, like, the same little skit over and over and over again, and I still to this day can hear the sounds. I can't make the sounds, but hear the sounds of the Street Fighter guys, like their little play
Actually, I think it's 30.
demo
That's
fight.
not 40. My brain's my
It's hilarious, man. I'm now really upset that you guys brought that up because now it's like in the forefront of my brain. So,
damn, John.
I
That's all right.
meant to say 30, not 40. But guess other movies that are turning 30 this year:
Oh,
Batman
30.
Forever, Waterworld.
You bastard! No, wait.
Waterworld, dude.
Mosman.
Waterworld was epic.
Mosman. You added 10
Waterworld-
years on there like it was nothing.
Waterworld's
bad.
actually really cool. That movie like flopped, but the best
Waterworld?
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Waterworld was good though. I liked it.
Waterworld.
Yeah,
was
it
good.
flopped, but the best thing about Waterworld is Kevin was that was the first movie I had seen. Was Kevin? What's his last name?
Costner.
Costner. Thank you. It was the first movie I'd seen him be a complete asshole in. Because in every other movie, he's like the good guy, clean cut.
That's
remember
what he
he
does under the
rejects the
surface.
chick?
He's really an asshole in real life.
Well, remember he rejects the chick. She was all like, "Oh, I'll give you," and he's like, throws her overboard. He's
Yeah,
like,
he's
"Oh,
like,
you dirty
no."
ass, your fish pussy, get out of here."
Waterworld was just Wish.com Mad Max in the water.
Yeah, it was. That's a
Changed
good
my
one.
mind.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It kind
No,
of
that's
was. I mean, you're not
You
wrong.
got the guys
Yeah,
on
but
jet
the
skis
villain
that are
was
the
the
bad
best,
guy. Like,
dude.
of
Oh yeah, I
course
love
it
the
is.
Postman.
The villain was the
jet
best
skis
in
were-
that, though. He was so funny, dude. The
Exxon
smoker.
Valdez, though, man. Come on, you got
That's what I'm
that.
saying. The smokers and the smokers were the bad guys. That's not subliminal for the '90s. The smokers are the bad guys. Grid.
Yeah, it was actually legit. That the only problem is that obviously it was shot in like 3 weeks, and but it was funny. Costner actually, but I like that movie specifically because it was Costner's first movie where he had been like a complete douchebag.
I
He was
have
being himself. He was being
I have a
himself.
qualm here. Just Grid. The problem was that it was shot in 3 weeks, not because of the story or nothing. It was because it was shot in 3 weeks.
No,
Not-
dude, the chick was
the
hot.
story actually. I mean, the story actually.
The story is not good. I mean, there
The
was
story's not that
It's
great, but
it had potential, but they couldn't.
There's barely a story.
Yeah.
the story. But that was actually. I actually like that. I actually like that there was I mean, it's the end of the fucking world. How complicated can it be?
Grid. They should have just
Mad
showed
Max
the
on
chick.
ice.
Grid.
But
Hey,
Mad
they
Max,
should've just-
Mad Max had too many different criminal elements and all of this other stuff.
Yeah, but
I
Grid,
really
if they
li-
would have.
Oh no, not the
they
first
would've
one.
showed-
The road, the good one, the Road Warrior. You know,
yeah,
the best.
Road
one.
Warrior was good. That was the best one.
It's
Well,
the best,
if
not
they
all
would've
of them.
showed,
100%.
if they
It
would have
is the
showed that
best
girl's
of all of them.
boobs, dude, they would have got a higher, more audience because she was hot.
Best
during
movies of all
that.
time.
No,
Although I
don't know.
did enjoy the last one in IMAX. I thought that was.
He was hot, Grid.
Hey,
No, in
thank you,
Waterworld,
John.
that chick was hot, dude.
John, I appreciate that because I fucking worked on that bitch. So thank
Did you really?
Yeah.
On which movie?
On
Fury Road.
Oh, you
Fury
did?
Road or Furiosa? Because the Furiosa is the one that came out this year.
No, I worked on Fury Road.
Okay,
The
well, I like
fucking-
that.
Fury
I like Fury
Road
Road
is
too,
a close second after Road Warrior, dude.
Yeah, it
Because
is,
friggin' the entire thing was it was a fight scene in cars the entire time, like
guy-
a driving fight scene.
Yeah.
It was all action all the time. And then one of the most metal dudes ever, the dude with like hooks in his back, playing guitar on the front of the friggin' death rig
Yeah,
or
with the
whatever it's
fire
called.
coming out.
The
So,
only
dude,
guy more metal than that, the only character more metal than that, and I don't care if it's a fake story or not, is the guy who ate a Bible as his last meal.
Yeah,
That's the only thing more metal than that.
But listen, why that shit won so many awards, and I was super happy about that after all the fucking hours we worked on that shit. But
It was a lot of practical effects, right?
Yeah, there's no CGI in that movie. Every explosion, every bike, every car scene in that movie was real, dude.
Yeah.
And that was South African stuntmen, dude. That scene where they're going through that like break in the rock, and they're like down in a valley, and the bikes are going on the hills. I spoke to the stunties, dude. That track they were riding on was like 2-3 meters, and they were hitting jumps next to a fucking canyon, bro. I was like, dude, our stunt guys are crazy.
Did you just use non-space units?
What? Yeah. No, I use metric.
Non-space
Metric.
agency unit.
Fine. I don't even know what that is, Grid.
That means if
That's
you haven't
like
been
7
to,
feet,
if you haven't
7
been to the
feet.
moon, your units of measure maybe aren't that good.
Okay,
Just-
7-8 feet. 7-8
That's
feet.
what Grid is getting at.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, nobody
7,
gives a
8
crap
feet.
about meters and stuff. That's
Freedom
all, like,
fractions.
The whole rest of the
Yeah,
world does,
That's
guys.
stupid communist. That's communist measurement.
Yeah.
Listen,
Those are
listen.
communist measurements.
If
dude.
metric
Joe,
was
I
so
agree.
bad, if
Joe,
metric was so bad, why do you measure your gold and drugs in it? Change my mind, Americans.
And some,
Deal with
some
that.
calipers.
It just
Deal
shows
with
where all the
that.
degeneracy comes from. It's all
Wait,
it's all
hold
what
on,
you guys
It's
measure.
because
and
it's
bring it over here.
accurate. It's
We-
because it's
degeneracy.
accurate.
We
Degeneracy.
use ounces.
Yeah,
Wait,
we
you know
use
who
ounces.
else used the metric system? Hitler.
And pounds. We use pounds. But they use pounds, don't they? Grid? Don't they say like?
No,
when
no,
they
no.
shoot-
The
Little,
British
uh,
are the British are the
tons?
worst. They use
Little genetic
stone.
fallacy
Who the
there.
fuck
There we
measures
go.
things by
Yeah,
stone?
they use stones.
Crank
Yeah.
with
Well,
Jason Statham is one of the best movies ever. Crank 2 is a close second, but Crank.
Crank was amazing.
oh, dude, where he
awesome.
hooks up with
When
Amy
he
Smart, there, she
bends
looks
that
hot.
girl over as the subway or the train or bus. or
Amy
whatever
Smart,
goes
yeah,
by.
where he bangs her in the
Great.
subway right there in front of everyone. Amy Smart's hot, dude.
You know, that was actually really
Hey,
good.
by the
I
way,
really-
you can see her nude in Road
I
Trip.
don't care.
Oh, okay,
um,
sorry.
Oh, we don't care about your degen.
At any rate,
Well, why are we talking about
Imperious,
it?
you-
Grid.
Imperious, you were doing
Wait,
so
let me-
good, Schnookums.
Let me tell
You were
Grid
doing
a
so
fun fact.
good.
Old Joe, I agree that Yellowstone, what I've seen of it, is probably Costner's best work. But I really liked Waterworld, and one of my problems with all of these end of the world movies,
I'm a connoisseur.
Rumpelstiltskin is correct that Road Warrior is actually one of the better end of the world movies because there's no real plot other than I'm going to survive and I'm going to kill the fuckers who hurt me.
Don't die.
There's only
Don't
two
die.
elements, right?
Well, there's also there's the refinery and then the humongous gang, and they got to get the gas, got to get the gasoline.
It's just don't
out.
die. Like Grid says.
There's a
It's
lot of
just
little
get
stories
The
in it.
gas, don't die. That's
Yeah,
the plot.
like-
We need the gas to
Survive.
keep going.
The
Costner,
gasoline, not
Open
petrol,
Range
gasoline.
might be the best Costner.
Open
that is
Range
his
is
best
my
film.
favorite
That
Costner
is his
movie.
best
Yeah,
film.
Open
It's one of
Range
the
is
best
my favorite.
westerns.
You're the one that
love
killed our
Duvall
friend. Boom.
scene. When
No,
Duvall
no.
makes that scene in the cafe when he
Yep.
says a man has a right to his life,
Yep.
and that is fucking one of the best speeches in ever. But I liked Waterworld because if they had 3 months, if they hadn't had to shoot it in Hawaii because no CGI, they had to shoot it in Hawaii on the ocean
Yeah.
in real time, and they only had a few weeks to do it. Because of that, to me, it was a great movie because the plot line was so simple. I'm a mutant. I don't need anyone to find out. When they find out, they try and kill my ass, turn me into dirt, and I escape that. And then I'm going after I'm trying to avoid the smoker people, but they keep finding my dumb ass and trying to kill me because of whatever.
And that had some good stunt work in it too, as well. And
I'm super impressed. Grid remembers details out of. I'm sorry, John. I'm just super impressed that Grid remembers like details from Waterworld. It was also like
I have a really ridiculous memory.
Wasn't it also like 3 hours? I'm sorry, John. Go ahead, please.
No. It was like there's like director's cut you can find that's like 2 hours and.
What about like Dances with Wolves though, Grid? The great one.
Dances with Wolves was too long. It was too touchy fucking feely. You know, it's
too wolfy for me.
I like the wolf part of it, but the rest of it was just kind of like I don't know.
I do like someone else.
I did like Costner as Wyatt Earp. I did like.
Yeah, he was better Wyatt Earp than Kurt Russell. 100%.
He was.
100%.
Yeah, you're an affable man. You're very.
I like Kurt Russell in almost anything.
Yeah,
no, he was good in it. There's no doubt about it. But you know,
come on, Snake Plissken can do anything.
He can.
Get out of here.
But listen, I will fight you all on westerns.
Yeah,
I'll fight you all on westerns.
And Wyatt Earp is a better movie about Wyatt Earp. It's still completely so unhistorical. It's amazing just how much people don't realize all the backstory.
I mean, he's done a lot. The Bodyguard. What's it called? What's the other one? Tin Cup. He was in. He was in.
Great.
Tin Cup was.
You see the one where he was the killer? What was that one called?
3 days. 3 days to die.
Yeah, 3 days.
The Fugitive.
There was another one where he was like a serial killer. I think it was called
The Fugitive.
Yeah. Oh, the Fugitive. Yeah, he was in the Fugitive. Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
No. That was
Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Well, what about he was? Yeah, but he was. What about my favorite? One of my favorite. I mean, well, he did Field of Dreams, of course, but
yeah.
What about Robin Hood? His Robin Hood was one of my favorite ones too, dude.
His Robin Hood was probably the
Get the fuck out of here! No, Men in Tights is the best Robin Hood story ever told. I cannot be convinced otherwise.
Dude, that scene where Kevin Costner has the flaming arrow and there's the fire behind him and he launches that arrow is so iconic.
The best part of that movie is Alan Rickman, especially.
Oh, I know Alan Rickman.
And Capsule Christmas. And I'm like.
Yeah, no. Alan Rickman
losing his shit in any movie is the best scene ever.
Right, yeah.
Like there's nobody that loses their shit like Alan Rickman. Like
I'll remember that grid. I'll cut your heart out with a spoon.
Well, if we're gonna go there, you got to go Princess Bride. If you're gonna go there,
Inconceivable.
Yeah. My name is Diego Montoya.
Well, what about The Bodyguard, Grid? Bodyguard was a good movie.
I mean, The Bodyguard was actually really good. I know a lot of people didn't really like it because they couldn't get into it, and it was, it didn't end with it didn't really end in like a happy ever after, right? Because he moves on to his next job as he should. But I like that movie. That movie was good. Was
Costner in The Line of Fire, the one where the guy made his
Clint Eastwood.
Composite?
That was Eastwood. Yeah,
was that Clint Eastwood?
Yeah. What about The Highwayman?
Killed in that movie too. I love it when Rene Russo is walking away and in the black dress and he's looking at her and she turns around and he's like just imagining where
hold it together. Yeah.
Do you know what's actually good?
No, don't tell me. That's a great scene.
Do you know what's a good Kevin Costner movie that almost everybody I've ever met has never seen? And it was directed by Tony Scott, and it's called Revenge, where he goes down to Mexico to get revenge on the guy. There's like a drug dealer because he
I don't think I've
fell
seen
in love with her and all that, and
was he in a jail in Mexico for part of it?
Part of it, yeah.
I think I'm thinking of a Mel Gibson movie.
Yeah.
It sounds.
But yeah, it was one of the first movies that
never mind.
He was in a good movie called Draft Day. If you want to see it, he was a GM in like football recently, and then he was in this movie called The Highwayman with
that was a decent one.
Yeah, that was because they go after Bonnie and Clyde in that one. It's actually
I still think one of my favorites of his though is Bull Durham, because that movie.
Oh
is
yeah,
so
Boulder.
good.
Yeah.
That was ZD Den. That was Vanished. That was Vanished by.
Oh
I think it had Kurt Russell in it.
Grid.
Kurt Russell. Yeah.
My apologies and
Hank
thank you for
Plissken
having
is
me
his
on.
legal name.
But I need to jump, sir.
Yeah, I've got to get out of here too. It is at 10 minutes after the time I turn into a pumpkin. We got to get. I got to go.
Thanks for having me on, Grid.
I didn't want to spoil the party. I just want to.
No. We were just kind of chilling. It's once I invite Imperious up, it's all over.
Yeah, I was kind of curious. Like, wait, I got an invite at the same time as Imperious. What are we trying to say here?
No,
actually, I didn't invite Imperious. I don't know how he got his.
But
well, Grid, I stole it from Sport Brand. He sent me it. You can blame it all on him, Grid.
All right.
Later, Mustache, and also Chris.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right.
Well, Grid, I just want to say good night, Grid. I'll be snuggling up with Lindsay over here in a little bit. She'll be coming over with all the other girls that love me on here that give me all this shit, but deep down
I don't know who.
Lindsay, you don't know. Oh, you're over on Flo's channel. She comes in here sometimes. Great.
Oh, Lindsay Smith.
All your ex-wives?
Yeah. One of my. Well, she's not an ex yet. Not quite.
Future ex-wife. Okay, I get it.
Future ex-wife. Yeah.
I'm tracking.
Lindsay Smith is who you're talking about. I got
Yeah. Did you see Grid? Did you see what my new little graphic that Cat made me?
No, I don't. Honestly, I haven't been able to catch anybody else's. I feel really bad admitting this, but I have not been able to watch anybody else.
Grid, do you think you're too good for everyone?
No, that's the thing. Like, if you're busy, then you don't like. The only time I a lot of times watch streams is if I'm participating. It's only like sometimes if I'm doing something and then I can put somebody else's. I'll tab them up. Like, I'll lurk all my friends and everybody, like, but actually paying attention. There's only so many hours in a day, dude.
Yeah, I can't watch. If I watched, if I actually had time, which I don't, but if I actually had time to watch the video, just watch YouTube, I would literally never get anything done like that.
Seriously.
And I used to try and put it on in the background of my when I'm in the garage or whatever, and just put it on in the background, and that can work. The only problem is I'll get distracted, or I'll miss something, and I just won't understand what's going on, or I'll have the wrong understanding of what's going on. So it's, in general, I just don't do it. Like, as a matter of fact, I turn off the studio, and that is it. I'm done for the day. I don't. Every now and again, I'll jump on my phone, which is pretty far and few. It's few and far between these days. I used to try and watch everybody's stream, and I'll hop on if I'm. A lot of times, if I have some extra time, if I'm not really tired or whatever, I'll shut down here, and then I'll pop on to somebody else's stream for 20, 30 minutes or whatever. But lately, I've been doing too much of that. So now it's like, I just don't have time. I don't have time for this.
Well, Grid, before I go, I have one quick question. Does your wife, does she make people take the shoes off when she comes to the house, when they come in the house?
Absolutely, 100%.
It's beautiful, Grid. I've never met an Asian that doesn't, Grid. It's something about it. They just, I just thought it was funny. It's just like the universe. It's like, it's a universal thing we have here.
All right, so I'm all set up. You guys, to everyone in the chat, I truly appreciate you joining tonight. Really been a good time. Thanks to the guest, Grumpelstiltskin, Tiki Tack, Chris Lestrange, even Imperious, And of course, great John Mosman. Appreciate each and every guest. If you gave any money at all, I truly appreciate it. It will go to a good cause, mostly maintaining the channel. And I hope it was a good show tonight. It was off the cuff a little bit. I've been wanting to talk about some of the debate strategies, and just since I had so many last week, it seemed like time to do it. You guys are going to go over and hang out with Andrew Wilson reviewing something or the other.
Who?
And, that guy, yeah, that weird guy.
Oh,
so go
arguing guy. Okay.
Yeah, go have a great time after you watch this short clip. Be cool and wear glasses if you need them. Get off my lawn.
I am everywhere. I am inside each and every single one of you. You just look in, and I will be there, waving out at you, naked, wearing